want to know what the weak point of a mech is? The fucking pilot.
Get away from her, you bitch!
His papers say he was a raven.
Protocol 3.
A pattern blue!
Welcome to On the Shoulders of Giants, a giant robot power hour discussing mechs across media, their stories, and why we love them. Joining me today and absolutely bitch slapping her microphone is Alice.
You only want me for my reflexes, powers of judgment, sensitivity, and reproduction.
That's true. That's the only reason we want her. And Nico.
Hey, Bri, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I fucked your mom.
Today's weather report indicates a partly cloudy morning, moving into a heavy rain of dead Tomino women who have fallen out of dangerously open machinery in the afternoon and evening. So get ready for a wet Wednesday morning out there, and don't forget to bring your pets inside. Let's lunch into it. Oh, it's brain-powered, by the way. Brain-powered part 2.
We've never been so back, and it's possibly never been so over.
We have to start at the top of the episode with something very important.
Yeah.
It's my birthday! Happy birthday, me!
It's
Happy
Alice's
Alice.
birthday. Alice
She's
is
turning an
literally-
age that no one will ever know.
Y'all, much like Tomino contemplating various societal ills, we are back on our bullshit in a way that is possibly dangerous to just the general population.
Yeah, so we're here for episodes 14 through 26 of Brain Powered.
It's been so long. I've missed you guys. How have you been on the Novus Noah?
Well, you know, I actually shipped out of the Novus Noah so we could make more room for orphans. So
No, I thought the orphans were on Orphan.
no,
Well,
common misconception.
Literally, the Earth is covered in a fine layer of orphans. This is just known.
Would you say they're the source of all bioorganic energy?
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
would say that actually.
Would you say that this show ages so well?
Corollary to nut gig, but it's orphan energy.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to talk about Nut Gig because there's
Yes, we are.
there are some real late game secret energy grid powered, apparently suffused with dead people that is very present in the late game parts of this show that Nut Gig. According to Jackson, Nut Gig may be nothing for Gundam, but it's literally here in Brain.
Yeah, I would say like my new development is that perhaps I didn't uncover a truth of Gundam. I may have uncovered a truth of Tomino.
Yeah,
like, you know how
exactly.
in Stephen King's world, everyone is like 30% psychic?
Yes.
Like, even in his normal novels, for Tomino, ghosts are always sort of exerting their energy.
Stephen King is here too because we find out pretty late also that Higgins has a psychic tattoo. More on that later.
We're just gonna spend 2 hours listing things that happen in this show because every one of them has no point to anything and is insane.
You won't believe the two people who have a fatal disease.
I wanted to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
It's just, I noticed lately when we've been having problems on the OSG stage, which is also the cockpit of a mech, you've been throwing me into a lot of tornadoes. And I just feel like a lot of women have been thrown in tornadoos lately. And we probably shouldn't do that here.
I have to say something. I have to vindicate my co-host here because we'll get into the right rhythm of the episode here in just a second. I just want to say one thing real quick, which is we came at a concept last episode on Brain Powered from opposing sides. I still stand on my hill that the constantly talking with your cockpits open doesn't actually bother me that much. We do get a major character death that does happen because her cockpit is open. So I have to point that out and say
I think
and
both
admit
can be
that it's
true.
just yeah.
I'm holding your hand, I'm looking at you, and I'm saying this can be true. Both of these things can be true.
Brian, can I say something
Yeah.
that killed me? The major talking with the cockpit open situation that happens in the second half of Brain Powered, the first one, where Russ is sent in the most sauceless Char orb to Kanan, and she opens the cockpit to talk to him. I cannot emphasize enough, they are in the ocean.
They are underwater.
They are
underwater.
in the Mariana Trench.
In the ocean.
They are. They're in the Marinara Trench.
It was so funny because he's in the energy ball, and I'm like, okay, I can forgive this. And then she opens the fucking cock.
Now, this is the episode where we reveal that the OSG Studios is made out of our mom. Our collective mother's soul is in this mech that we are piloting. Because we're going to get into the mom stuff a lot today. Hey, guys, going to get it right up top because we haven't said it and we're almost 10 minutes in. Womb. We're going to say womb a lot.
Womb. Yeah.
W-O-M-B, womb.
I discovered something, again, before we pretend that we're professionals, I discovered something very unfortunate about myself, which is I have sort of a Manchurian Candidate trigger response to the word womb. When I was in college, I watched with a friend, because that was the sort of situation you're in college, the softcore porn parody of Lara Croft Tomb Raider called Lara Croft Womb Raider. And apparently, whenever I hear the word womb, including from the pen of Yoshiyuki Tomino, I'm transported back to Lara Croft Womb Raider. So just, bear that in your mind. If you've ever witnessed that for any reason whatsoever, have that in the background.
This is a year we're learning a lot about Gundam. We're also learning a lot of dark history about Nico this year.
It's my backstory.
Did you guys see the episode number?
Yeah, this is episode 69. Nice. Nice. Because our distributor kind of makes us count, technically this is like our 90th episode, but in terms of the numbered episodes, yeah, it's time to be nice.
The titled episodes.
The titled episodes.
It is time to be nice. Episode 69 of OSG. It is time to be nice.
It is time to be nice. Okay. We talked about like production history and like what we had coming to this last time. So as has become kind of standard for a second parter, I'll just ask generally how we're feeling. I think I know already, but let's just for posterity, Alice, what is your vibe on the second half of Brain Powered?
I guess just generally what I'm thinking is I'm glad somebody has uncovered the body and that justice can finally be done.
Nico?
This is probably indicative. I switched to dub. And let me tell you, this is a bad dub. But I switched to dub because that doesn't
surprise me.
I did not want to devote my full attention to reading subtitles. I simply felt that the show had lost enough of my respect that I went, I'm just going to listen to this in English and look up when some crazy shit happening. And you know what? I was rewarded by that approach.
That's honestly pretty fair. I guess I'll say...
I want to say this real quick. In the English dub, it sounds like Kant, the little pudding boy, is actually voiced by a child. Like, I've heard voice actors do child voices, especially they tend to hire female voice actors to do child's voices. It sounds like somebody's cousin is in the booth, and I'm really sorry for what he experienced as a cast member of Brain Power.
Yeah.
Ryan, how are you feeling about part 2? So
we're gonna have an interesting episode because I think this show is a fucking mess. But I also think everyone on planet Earth should watch it immediately. There's some stuff here that I don't know. The first, I think both halves of the show have the same arc, which is at first I am literally just like sitting with the emoji that just all of its expression is a straight line. That's just how I'm feeling at the very start. And then it climaxes with a bunch of stuff where it's like, wow, this is tremendous. And then it completely disintegrates. That was kind of my arc there. I am still aglow about the parts that are tremendous. And I don't think the parts that fall apart are bad enough for me to say that I don't hate the show. But I do agree that it's dog shit. It's a complicated place to be. I think there are parts of this that are just absolutely tremendous, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I mean, do we have anything else? Should I just try to synopse the incredibly dense thing that just
tell me
happened?
what happened.
Can you include in that how many abs the Baron has? Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to know how many abs are.
I think it's like
on that
26.
breastplate.
It's like a 26 pack, y'all.
Yeah. Okay, here we
my
go.
homie out here looking like bubble wrap.
Oh, man. Okay. Orphan, the continent-sized alien biomass, has breached the surface of the ocean, and a big fight has broken out between the Apocalypse Engine Novus Noah and the faction currently in control of Orphan, the Reclaimers. After making a suicide run at Orphan in an attempt to cease its ascent, Russ's BP sacrifices itself in order to land a critical blow on Orphan's weak point, which is literally a giant naked lady. Like that wasn't a metaphor last time. It is literally a giant naked lady. Unfortunately, this was the big break the United States was waiting for, and so they resoundingly declare Orphan the 51st state under the command
53rd.
of... Oh, sorry,
53rd. Okay, pause. Pause in the synopsis right now. Okay, we all know the 51st state is Canada. That has been said.
Yes.
The 53rd state is Orphan.
Yeah.
What do we think the 52nd state is? And you can't say Puerto Rico because we will never give them statehood. What are we thinking?
Greenland.
Is it Greenland?
Yeah. Greenland. Greenland.
Yeah.
It's Greenland.
All right, I'm glad we cleared that up.
Sorry.
Please continue.
Continue.
The 53rd state under the command of the now unmasked Governor Gabriel Gaybridge of the Noah's Noah. That was a lot to hear, I'm sure. But don't worry, because we have a bunch of new characters, including We Have Racist You at Home and You Can't Be Lala Soon, White Baby. It doesn't stop there. We have definitely a whole-ass man and not a supervillain drag king and a new type of grand share called a Baronz. Things continue to escalate until contrivances put Hime in a position to fall deeper into Orphan than anyone has ever been, where it is revealed that Orphan was stranded on Earth after losing a battle with a rival member of its species, and that BPs and GCs are antibodies of two different Orphan units. Believing that she can implore Orphan to leave peacefully, Hime and Yu resolve to stop fighting with hate. This is getting really dense and long, so here's the rest. Quincy pulls a Ray Ayanami, Gaybridge ends up not mattering literally at all, Orphan said fuck the United States, Baron Maximilian is withered Anoa, and Orphan leaves the planet peacefully in a shot that looks absolutely nothing like Axis at the end of CCA. Let's head to the break.
Hey there, listeners. I'm so glad you could make this time to be with me. I know it's the common wisdom, but it doesn't have to be a long week to pass the yaoi. I just wanted to fill you in on a few things. First of all, any images we discuss and content warnings as applicable for each episode are available on its webpage, which is always going to be linked in the episode description. You wondering why I sound like this instead of sounding like I'm podcasting from inside a subway station full of dogs? It's all thanks to listeners like you. We've had some generous one-time donations and the support of some steadfast monthly contributors to our Ko-fi that allowed me to offset the cost of a new mic and completely cover the materials I needed to run Cat 6 cable to the pod computer, including a new drill bit. And I love new drill bits. If you've extracted a spare, blood-soaked bill from the cannibalistic parasite of capitalism recently, consider throwing it our way at ko-fi.com/OSGPOD. You may even get to be part of an elaborate laundering scheme where we put that money right back into the community, as we did when we commissioned music for our recent Ghost in the Shell actual play. We've got a lot going on outside the show, which I'll just touch on briefly here. Brian and Alice are streaming on Twitch every minute God allows. The schedule can be variable, so check out our socials for the latest info. The page for our locked-in Mech Game Jam is officially up on itch.io, so take a look at that to get ideas flowing. It'll run all of July, but you're gonna have to wait until July 1st to get started. Lastly, our Discord community has started up regular Turn A Gundam watch parties inspired by the 1 year pod. Get in on that by joining the Discord via the link in the show notes. That's all for now, but hey, call me.
There's a density, some might say, to the later half of this show that...
A ghost density, perhaps? No kidding.
A ghost density.
I gotta say, okay.
Yeah.
Peek behind the curtain. Peeling back the kimono. Wet schlorp sound.
Excuse me?
I started watching this last night. Season 2. We had some recording schedule moving around shit, and I have ADHD. I always wait till the last second on everything. Anyway, I had my dinner and I was like, perfect. I'm gonna need to read subtitles. This is the optimal way to watch anime. You're eating, you're reading the subtitles, you're watching the anime.
This is the right amount of things to be doing parallel at one time because I'm a broken person.
Yes. I started watching it and I got to the point where you is standing on the command deck yelling the themes and events of the show.
Okay.
Oh, you mean a minute in?
Yeah.
And I closed my laptop and went to bed and got 8 hours of sleep and woke up this morning at 7 and then did the whole watch because I was like,
Okay.
I can't do this.
So Nico is the freshest you can possibly be off of this. So I think her insights are going to be the most valuable in terms of just the chronological order of things.
The residue is on to me.
The ghost residue?
Yes.
the Nelly residue?
Oh my god.
Okay. I only broke this up into 3 parts because the first four episodes and the last 4 episodes are basically one whole arc. And then like in between, there's just kind of like a weird little interstitial. So part 1, episodes 14 through 18. During Orphan's initial ascent, the UN orders Novus Noah to cease all operations. The crew collectively decides to disobey this order, leading to the incident with Russ sacrificing his BP. Immediately after, we're introduced to a new character, literally named Naked Guys, who once again lands on the script like a nuclear fucking bomb. Jonathan appears to be KO'd, and Quincy reaches a peak in her inferiority crisis, interview with a vampiring you from the stratosphere, out into the Arctic Circle, where an arc happens with a woman named Nelly that I don't even want to try to gesture at in the abstract. We're just going to have to talk about it when we talk about it. Yeah.
I had my note on Naked Guys, which, by the way, that just killed me. Thank you for that. My note on Naked Guys literally says a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character has appeared, and that's all you need to know about him.
Yeah, he's very much Temu Yu in that he shows up and you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And then he inexplicably mellows out a bunch. So, I don't know.
I have a theory about him that we will get to at the end.
Yeah.
I want to say it up front, which is, hey, do you know one of the main reasons Gundam worked and this didn't? This deals anything with the actual reality we live in. I don't know, man. All of the real world politics in this entire show pulls it so far down for me. Like the UN plot, the US plot. It's like Tomino has nothing to say about this that has not been said before. And I know it's dated like 20 years ago. Even then, we knew America was like this.
I think it's prescient, actually, because he foresaw that like the Gulf states are going to build NEOM. And he said, the parallel to that in my world is that they have a gold-plated helicopter and Mr. Muhammad randomly becomes a bridge character? And that's sort of, I saw that as prescient. He was foreseeing sort of like Riyadh and all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
Jesus.
This is what I meant when I said we're going to have an interesting episode, because the political stuff is actually what I thought was tremendous about the second half of the show.
This is going to be a good app.
Interesting.
I thought the United States, we can
admit it. We've got to get to it in the second half. Love it. I'm not saying it's done wrong. I love it.
I think it is. I think it super, super sucks that it completely falls apart and doesn't matter literally at all at the end. But
I guess for me, it's here's the brain-powered plots, and I'm holding my hands up. And then I'm pointing over here and I'm saying, here is Tomino's any thought about the world we actually live in. And he keeps trying to push them together. And I just want the brain-powered part. I don't need any of his thoughts on the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just fundamentally disagree with that.
I'm excited to hear Brian's thoughts, because I think like my only major point of like, okay, this actually is cooking a little bit was related to the brain powered stuff, which we'll get to. But like, yeah, I'm interested to see that, because I mean, there's a thing that happens later where I'm like, hey, are they creating sort of a human shield? And then later in the show, they literally go, hey, it kind of looks like we made a human shield.
And then they say, hey, it looks like
hilarious.
you made a human shield.
It was kind of hilarious.
Humans be shielding.
It was too on the point. I hate America.
These opening 4 episodes, these opening 2 episodes, just say, I don't really have that much plot wise. Like I said, It's mostly just concluding the arc where Orphan has breached the ocean.
I think something that's very loud to me is the animation in part 2. I'm not sure if they were done at the same time, but specifically when Yu is doing his speech, they redo the same shot 17 times.
No,
and
Alice,
we start to see
no.
oh.
They take the shot and then they wiggle it. And that's
Yeah.
a new
Yeah, wow.
shot legally.
Yeah.
They can't 5 times X and then also space for some reason.
Yeah, it's like
Spreading
a
our
tilt
budget.
pan on you yelling, and it happens like 6 times. I think it's an animation budget thing. I also think it's a runtime thing. There are a couple of these episodes where I'm like, wow, you guys were really desperate to reach a certain amount of minutes, weren't you?
Yeah, the little research I did is it wasn't going strong into the second core. It was not.
No, and that was the vibe I got, was that like these first 2 episodes, like you said, Brian, don't really have much to say because they really do feel like second core problem, where they feel like the first 2 episodes have to recap everything from the first, which is where we get the 2 iconic deliveries, which is...
I have a couple written down. Let's get them down. I hope we have the same
Jonathan
ones.
Glynn
Yeah.
and you have another confrontation, which is when Jonathan Glynn says to Yu's face, "I fucked your mom," which in the dub, I need to say, I gave it to Mommy Dearest is how that was framed.
No, fuck that.
Honestly,
That's
the
garbage.
dub translation was gold. I was switching between the 2 constantly. I was thriving.
I don't buy it at all. I will say the fact that this conversation goes from "I fucked your sister" and you says "I don't care, you're both adults," and then he says "I also fucked your mom," and that's what sends him over the edge.
You know, though, I feel that. That's too much. You're doing too much, Jonathan Glynn. How much do you want to fuck me that you're fucking everyone else around?
And then Jonathan Glenn has the audacity to say later on, "Butt out, this is family business." You have fused our families. There's no going back.
That's a perfectly good family. Come to think of it, it's the same family.
Did you expect Jonathan Glynn to be this big of a character going into the second half?
Absolutely.
Well, we had to. I didn't like that he was there, but I knew he was load bearing.
I don't like Jonathan Glenn. I am fascinated by him.
Every frame of painting, Jonathan Glynn.
Also, he during this exchange at some point, I forget if it was him or you who says it, but women have shut their hearts and stopped becoming mothers, and children have fallen into hell. Okay.
It's so
Women
fucking
have
stupid.
Stopped being mothers is
Oh,
old.
while we're on Jonathan Glenn, I just want to point out a thing that also happens. There's a lot of Gundam / Evangelion humans have connected, and we're all seeing each other's trauma moments. And like, there's a bunch of people who lost their families and their houses burned down, and they watch babies starve to death. And then Jonathan's trauma is that he's sitting alone on his bejeweled couch with a giant fucking Christmas tree.
The Pudding Boys have nothing. It's so funny. Jonathan Glenn's trauma is left alone at Christmas, and Kant's is he was on the green handing out invitations to his birthday, and everyone said, "You're a freak. I don't want to go to your birthday
We are
party."
actually college-aged people. You're a child. What? No.
That is trauma put on par with everything we get about Quincy Issa. and you know, Naked Guys here is just like, yeah, if we just get one scene where apparently he was stealing a birthday cake and gets shot at by the police. Like, insane shit is happening.
Yeah.
I want to rapid fire a couple of my other favorite quotes, which is, "I wish I had prayed to the wind gods."
So true. I'm saying this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
"I want you to be the mother of my child." That's
Oh
the
my God.
confession in this show.
Oh my God.
This show doubles down on themes of existential threats make you want to have children. Because a big thing we learned about a character in this, out of the blue, is that Russ has leukemia, which in this world is curable.
Mhm.
Like, that is something they say. Leukemia is curable. But he has refused treatment because he was like, "I'm just going to give it my all. I don't have a dream for the future."
It's so stupid.
He has this fucking relationship with Kanan, and she basically comes to him and is like, "I'll get pregnant." And he's like, "We're so back, gang."
If you haven't watched the show, I just want to make it super clear. The dialogue is on such a rapid fire and is contextually so strange they have this conversation in the middle of the mission when Russ is literally like on a suicide mission, and Kanan says, "You should not encourage your brain power to kill itself." And Russ just responds with, "Have my babies." And she just responds with, "Okay."
Shinzo Abe's ghost is here. He has never deserved getting obliterated by a contraption more.
Oh my god, his ghost in this is insane. The fact that every couple is defined in this show and everyone is like honoring past relationships, like, hey, Kanan got you through some rough times while you were waiting for Hime. And we're at the last part of this, we're going to talk about the time cycle shit and that whole couple thing. But for now, like, we have people saying "you cow" to women. And women exist in this show to be mothers. And women have stopped being mothers, and that's why people are lonely. And Tomino needs to be taken to The Hague and put on trial.
This is all true. I think we do get some women characters who are able to push on that a little bit, though, which is nice. Like, Quincy gets some pretty big W's in this department. She, like, unfortunately...
I'm a Quincy defender now, even with what happened.
Well, yeah. We'll talk about some of the stuff, late game stuff that happens with her being like suborned into all of the generational trauma. But other than that, like in terms of her plot, like she's not made to have that same sort of dependent relationship. You know what I mean? So
there's something I want to bring up here, which is like listeners to the last episode heard Alice tell me like, hey, if you're actually interested in this stuff, because I have 5 JSTOR articles open. You know, Alice was like, go listen to Mobile Suit Breakdown because Nina and Tom over there have done this work already. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's already been done. And sure enough, I went and I listened to the episodes Last Stand and Casa Relia and A Time and a Place to Die. This is during their Victory Gundam coverage. I will say I skipped the actual parts about Victory Gundam because I'm trying to be... Alice has a schedule for my exposure to Gundam as a project. I'm being faithful.
You haven't earned Victory Gundam yet, that's what I'll say.
But the second half of their shows tend to be research focused. And so I listened to that because this was kind of a part 1 and 2 about the situation of women in Japan in the 1990s. I cannot recommend these episodes enough of Mobile Suit Breakdown. Like, this helped me so much to understand this, specifically because like I was really struggling with these early episodes. And one thing that Nina brings in is that there is a feminist writer in Japan called Tanaka Mitsu, and she wrote a manifesto that was called Liberation. Yeah, she manifested a manifesto called Liberation from the Toilet. And the key pull quote from this, which I think is so useful, especially in light of like Kanan versus like use mother. The quote from this is, as far as men are concerned, a woman is split into 2 images, either the expression of maternal love, a mother, or a vessel for the management of lust, a toilet. And all I could think about is how much the redemption arcs are like the character arcs of women in this show. And I mean, throughout, but like this show is really distilled gender issues from Yoshiyuki Tomino. Came down to women becoming mothers as redemption arcs and women who are toilets being like nexuses of evil, specifically Midori Isami. Yeah, that blew my brain open. It helped me so much to understand this context. This is not just a work that is weirdly regressive. This is actually a work that, to me, is reactionary. And that helped me reframe my thinking around this a lot.
I just to kind of dovetail that, because I want to talk about some just like really some like some artistic stuff that happens here in a second. But to ping off of that, I think one of the things that is interesting about coming to this how do I phrase this? Coming to Brain Powered as this show. I was about to say coming to this show as this show. Coming to Brain Powered as us, as OSG. We're classically very sensitive to this stuff. And so I think one of the things that's good to point out is A, thank you for doing that research, Nico. B, shout out to Mobile Suit Breakdown.
Yeah, thank you to Mobile Suit Breakdown for doing that research that I could mention.
That's what we're doing online. Mecha podcasters are just trading factoids at each other from long distances. When it comes to the stuff that like Tomino is saying about women here, I thought a lot about, by this point, the CCA episode will be out. Steven said something I've been thinking about a lot during the CCA episode, which is that in Tomino content, women don't generally tend to be full people or full characters. They just represent ideas.
Mhm.
And he wasn't saying that to justify anything. Like that's his read on it. And I agree. I think that's so clear in Brain Powered, especially, that it is almost like I'm almost more receptive to some of the late game stuff with women in this show than I would have been in than I was, for example, in CCA.
I would agree with that.
Because it's so just open. Like, it's not trying to suborn anything under like a subtext or a theme or anything. It's like Nico was saying, this is unbearable to watch, but characters are just standing on the deck of the Noah Nova and yelling the themes of the show into the sky at nobody.
Regular conversation has ceased on the Nova Nova.
Yes.
We are talking to each other in philosophy, plot critical information, and we got to talk about the brains.
I mean, finally we've reached Camille's dream. We are fighting ideologies, not people. But no, I think that's a really, really good point. It's just like, yeah, this show, I think that's why the political stuff was so uninteresting to me, because this really felt like the show where Tomino was like litigating his ideas about, and again, I mean, we're saying Tomino, obviously biggest voice in the room. There was a writer's room around this, but like, this is the show where these themes about gender and sex are being litigated, which to me is why, like, when we got distracted with world politics, I was like, okay, I'm not as interested in this, because the world politics has become the subplot to the gender and sexual stuff, in the way that in Gundam, the world politics and world to space politics are the plot, and then the gender and sexual stuff tends to be a B or a C plot. So I was kind of like, I don't have the bandwidth for
C
this.
or D plots. Mechs in the Mech show. What a D plot to the entire show. We'll get into it, throughout this, but like,
okay,
we're gonna have little to say about them compared to them standing on decks and talking. Like, things that they do with the Mechs. Like I liked Russ's kamikaze attack. I thought that was cool, except for talk about the orb. So he goes down there and he gets ejected in a little. Okay, we've started using. Are those organic shields? And that is just now our mainstay for magic exists.
We've gotten to like the Psychomu stuff.
It's we're doing Psychoma, we're doing Minovsky particles. Like, that's just kind of where we're at with it. I do sorry, Alice.
That's a cool mech thing. Just to talk about the mechs of it all. Yeah.
But what I was going to say, something we're introduced to in these first two episodes about the mechs, which is really interesting to me, and I will have things to say about this that I'm interested in, is that the brains are being positioned as independent in their desires in a way that we've seen a little bit of this before, but like the main crux of the kamikaze attack that happens where, I mean, Russ doesn't die, but like his brain power dies. Russ brain dies, which is such a funny phrase. Every time they say some shit like that, it's so funny. Is because his brain wanted to do that. And we're starting to actually see a struggle between pilots and machines, where the machines are not just like, we kind of saw with the Gundam, like just a vessel that may like have a spiritual debt to you that it repays at the end of your show, but otherwise is like not a separate entity. These are separate entities in a real way, where like they need guidance, but they're getting
and
willful.
they're growing up. They're actually. I was going to say
the actualization is important. Yeah, I like that.
I was going to say to Alice, like, you don't think the second half you found the second half lacking in mech stuff? Is that
okay? I think I found it. It had some mech stuff. I don't think what it did with the mech stuff, it explored in a way that made me feel good about it. Like, the two merges that we get, I would love us to explore the implications of that and see that. And I can't just keep saying it. They just stand there and float. And every now and then they go, doo doo. And like, but like when they're interacting with people and they're having those moments, and like when the Barons show up, like, we can't sit here and not admit that the Barons kind of fuck hard, right? Like, those noodles, pretty great.
Yeah.
What Quincy's suit does is pretty cool. But it feels like, so when Quincy is floating cross-legged with her peg leg, and then later her mech breaks its form into Eldritch noodles to find her, and then it has casts on its fingers. It's that the brain powers in this are organic creatures that are treated in the way you would an organic creature, but we don't, like, they're bathing them. When we see the brains, they're being bathed. Like, they're babies, right? It's very much they're a baby metaphor. But as mechs, they're kind of just standing there with their laser gun. And
I see.
Between them and the Grand Chers, I just never feel like I know what all of the main cast brains are because of their color. And I know you brain because that becomes a dead woman brain and looks cooler. But besides that, their actual interactions and like, I think it has a lot to do with the budget or how they're drawing the fights. But like most of the fights are in the middle of the sky and they're going swoosh,
I see
swoosh,
what you're
swoosh.
saying. You're saying that mechs, there's mech content, but the mechs don't really have like swag.
They have
Yeah,
no
Max.
swag. I would love it if it's just
They're sauceless.
I think the other version of this is like, you imagine the mech IP where it's like a scientist who's in his little shelter with one mech and they grow a relationship. Like, this would be cool if it was one scientist and one brain powered and we could explore that for a while.
Unfortunately,
but instead,
they will not let that woman have a brain powered.
they would not. She has to pray to Odin for a brain powered. I'm just pissed she never got one.
Memorial shoutouts to Komodo, who has passed up another 4 times to pilot a brain powered in
That
this show.
drove me fucking insane. What do you mean Kant gets one?
Yeah.
He showed up with 3 extra, and he was like, one's because Russ is about to go on a kamikaze mission. One is because Kant is going to have to fit into the female uniform, and we're all going to explore that in gender identity later. And then the other is because I'm going to blow up my own mech, and I need a backup. You can't have any.
All right. Let's get back into the flow of things.
Yeah.
We
me back
do the
in.
whole thing with Russ, which Russ also kind of falls out of the story a little bit.
There's a very funny moment though where, like, as a representation of his will to live, he has Kanan's like neckerchief. But when they zoom in on it, it's in his back pocket, and for some reason I thought we were getting last minute hanky code.
Yeah, and it's red, which is for fisting, by the way.
I was like,
Oh, it means different things over there.
Oh, right. It means I'm in a heterosexual relationship with a woman. That's what that handy code means. Sorry. I want to talk about some art stuff really quick. First of all, shout outs to Alice. Your point about the animation quality coming into the second half is hilarious because in episode 14, we get that weird tilt pen phenomenon. We also get a prolonged shot of you climbing up a ladder, and he is just like it is dragging PNGs. It is literally that. It is so bad. And it's so long. It's great.
art
Anyway,
is so good and important.
I just think there's a scene where Russ is about to do the suicide thing, and he comments on how the whales are down here, like feeding off all of the organic waste that Orphan produces.
Yeah.
And I
pretty
noticed
cool.
that the whale undersides are in a lot of really cool parallel shots with the line, like the vertical line stuff that we talked about last episode. Nico mentioned the baleen, the like whale teeth thing. All of that stuff is being like positioned together now in a way that I think is really, really fun and cool.
Yeah, Orphan is definitely being talked about as more organic, not least of which because fucking you gives the breakdown. You finally is like, I'm going to tell you everything I know about Orphan.
Hey,
the most
by the
important
way,
part
let's
of
just
which,
explain it.
the vital parts are arranged like a woman's body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are your vital parts in your woman's body, Nico? Mine are in the left quarter. If you hit me in VATS, you'll get pretty good bleeding damage there.
Well, I used to like many women, I used to have sort of vital parts like on my tits, but unfortunately after years and years of my very brave spouse punching me directly in the tit whenever I say a bad joke, one of those is no longer a weak spot. So that's sort of my feint. I
You've
present that one to
developed
the enemy
a
first.
thick tit callus from being.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Tit callus is
but
insane.
one thing I do want to say about the willfulness of the brain powers with this is it's funny. The kamikaze shit is so funny to me because, like you were saying, Alice, like they're washing them, they're treating them like babies, but then when they start trying to exert a will, they're like, well, it's the brain powered's will. We got to pay attention to it. And I'm just sitting here like, you know, something that kids love to do is like fucking play in traffic. We don't just stand at the side of the road and go, well, it's what they wanted to do, and they're starting to express desires, so we better just go along with all of them. Like, I get that the aging kind of shit in this is not linear in the same way, but it was really funny to me that they're like, the brains now want something, so we're just going to go along with it uncritically, even though it is like literally getting myself killed. It was pretty wild. Also, this is
the way they
scene where
talk about the suicide run is very strange. I don't understand the script there at all.
This is also the sequence where Russ is ejected, like Alice, you were gesturing to. He's ejected in sort of
He's a
a
ball.
organic shield char orb, and Kanan catches him like a football. And then this is the part where she exits the cockpit to talk to him underwater. And I cannot emphasize there are whales here. This has to be at a crush depth. What are we
100%.
doing?
Yeah, they're in the trench. I have
She
no
should
idea
have
what's going
tightened
on with that.
submersible in that
Look,
moment.
okay, with what ends up happening in this show, science isn't real anymore. We can't get into science anymore. What we're about to do, it's good.
Oh, but before I was totally on board.
It made 100% sense until now.
Well, this is the funny thing, right? This is suspension of disbelief. This is like, listen, you watch a sci-fi movie or a sci-fi show and you're like, okay, there's going to be a certain amount of gobbledygook. It's going to sound just plausible enough. Or like maybe it's like this world functions just differently enough that they can try to explain to me principles of the way that this world works. And I'm willing to suspend my disbelief because maybe that is how their world works. This is where Alice, like you're saying, even the logic that they've tried to present to you about the way that this world works just falls out. Like,
I have a segue. Can I segue to the next part? Hey guys, can we pull over the podcast real quick? I want to jump into Dollar Tree and grab a Dollar Tree Lala soon real quick.
well, I also need to just load up on orphans. I need to just the Novus Noah and Arc for the Ages. I think the most important thing is to load us up with orphans, and this is not.
No, I was just gonna say, coming soon, a debrief on the logistics of transporting orphans in and out of Novus Noah constantly for 3 episodes straight is
with
so
an interlude
funny.
for farming.
Yeah.
Which, let me tell you, I'm sorry, you are not going to spin up farming that quickly to feed all those children. That is not a sustainable agricultural approach. I don't care how good Quincy is at hoeing.
Yeah, she is. We'll talk about her gender identity, but we first have to talk about, okay, here's when I stopped taking the show seriously. It's when a character appeared wearing a Harvey Birdman attorney-at-law mask, a giant metal plate, and said,
I have a voice changer, and
who could it be?
There's
could
no
this be?
way to know.
I will do
There's
anything
no
that
way to know.
Jonathan wants me to do, or Jonathan's will.
Anyway, Baron Maximilian shows up, and everyone in the entire show accepts this as a accepted part of the world. No one's questioning Baron Maximilian. He has goons.
Sorry, it sounds like you're questioning Baron Maximilian, and I just want to air some stuff out on the podcast really quick. You don't believe in Baron Maximilian's legitimacy?
Are you
like...
doubting Baron Maximilian's commitment to the cause, which could be greater than the entire United States of America? I just think the number one thing we need to keep in mind when we are discussing the legitimacy or illegitimacy of Baron Maximilian is that he does have in one episode a flying surfboard. And that's something we just need to keep in mind.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Never seen again.
I was waiting for Baron Maximilian because in the Zeta episode, Jackson asked us if Baron Maximilian had shown up yet. And so I was waiting for someone named Baron Maximilian.
That. My note the moment he appeared is, oh my god, is a Noah now this Baron Maximilian? Like,
yes.
no chance. No Quattro Vegeta. Well, Quattro Vegeta in the sense everyone went, that's Char Aznable immediately.
Anyway,
but like, sauceless.
This is Nelly, and as you know, many diseases destroy cells. What could it mean? Chat, what is Nelly alluding to? So Nelly has got into this negative space that they get caught in, which again makes perfect sense and is perfectly readable in the show that they're suddenly in this negative zone. None of us had any questions about it.
What about? Wait, sorry. Can you? What do you mean by negative zone?
We do need to. Yeah, this is something we need to talk about: the logistics of the Earth energy sphere. They call it the world sphere or something.
The vital globe sphere or something.
The vital globe. Yeah,
I can talk about this because Vital Globe Net. I actually have some notes about this. I actually think this is kind of cool. But Alice, I want to let you finish first.
No, okay. So they go to the Vital Globe Net and they're in this this reservation, and Nellie has decided to divorce her husband and die of cancer instead of getting chemo because she wants to be friends with a brain. She found a brain. She doesn't use it for fighting. They've just connected. They also find like a pile of dead brains. There's like a lot of discussing about like the relationships between brains, but Nellie is just here to be like, hey, have you ever just asked your brain if he wants to go ice skating? And it's beautiful, and that was cute. Yeah, Nellie's a cool angle for this. I just don't like what becomes piloting the dead girl, I guess.
Oh, I was just going to say, to frame this, what had happened was you and Jonathan Glenn were locked in a battle to the death, and they end up colliding with the Vital Globe Net, which is a sort of fun psychic sphere that if you collide with it the wrong way can teleport you. This is a tool that will help us later. It teleports them, like Alice says, to this reserve where you and his brain, who is damaged, encounter Nellie, who is a woman who lives here functionally on her own, as Alice said, divorced, dying of a disease, because she witnessed the revival of a brain. And there's a lot of contemplation here of brains wanting pilots because they are organic beings that crave companionship.
Yeah.
They're
And
lonely.
Yeah,
They're all lonely.
there's a lot of interesting stuff here. But again, the reason we keep saying Dollar Tree Lala Soon is because it was like Tomino got scared in the back half of the show and was like, I don't know how to proceed unless I have a dead woman to sort of work with.
Literally, that's what it feels like. And the thing that's crazy here is like she shows up and genuinely, like the art direction and like all of the dialogue between them, I found
It's beautiful. I like their discussions.
A bunch of stuff that's going on, but the whole time, I'm sitting there thinking, we're in the 1 year pod. There's literally no way she makes it out of this. That's the
She
only
dies from
thing I'm
woman
thinking the
falling
entire
syndrome.
time. Yeah.
Okay, I made the joke earlier, but yeah, she dies by being thrown into another tornado vortex and is reborn into a brain that merges with her own brain.
She
It's insane.
has like a washed fucking Bravern moment.
I mean, my reading of this is she ends up being sort of dispersed throughout the Vital Globe Net, because we see some stuff going on with her later. Again, and yes, the
Nellie
nut
brain
thing.
merges with you brain to become Nellie brain.
But this interlude is interesting because it does talk a little bit more about the willfulness of these machines. Mechs have elephant graveyards. That kind of went. It's really cool. Like antibodies who don't want anyone to pilot them harden, and they all went to the same place basically to die.
Yeah, so if a brain power that doesn't get a pilot will eventually harden on its own, this is where I started going, are we doing something? The answer is no. But for a while there, I was like, are we doing something?
Calcification, that's so cool. That's a great concept.
Yes, but the other valence to this that kind of blink and you miss it is these brains went and did this voluntarily in protest against the United States takeover of Orphan.
We gotta talk about
Yeah. And that
Orphan is
fucking whips ass, dude. I was like, holy shit, that goes.
Yeah, they're basically conscientious objectors who went to an elephant graveyard to die. It goes kind of crazy. But Brian, talk about the Globe Net, because we started to talk about it and then we moved on. But like the Vital Globe Net.
There's the actual logistics and the actual how this interacts with anything is extremely wishy-washy, and that's Tomino style. We know this by now. This is Minovsky Partle. This is new types. So the actual like facts of it, they don't really matter to me that much.
Plants
I will
glow.
say
Facts.
Plants glow. Like we were saying before, the Earth either latently has this or it developed this in response to Orphan. That part's not clear. There's a big net, and it's basically ley line theory, right? At intersections of high organic energy, which, by the way, in the Japanese dub, they say organic energy. They're not trying to like that's the word they say in English. And so at cross points of this, you can like a bunch of stuff can happen. There's a bunch of stuff where like Nellie rams Jonathan's new mech into it, and like it fucks him up really bad, and like it can do all sorts of stuff. The important thing about it to me is it feels like. Do you guys know the relationship between 1984 and Animal Farm?
Yes.
Not really.
So George Orwell writes Animal Farm. People don't really get it. So he writes 1984 to be like the same story, but so much more heavy-handed. It's impossible to mistake.
Get it now?
Yeah. So that's the kind of like pair that I always think of him that way. And to me, this feels like that, but Tomino doing new type theory again, right? Where, Jackson was saying like, it doesn't really matter if someone is a new type or not. The important thing about new types is that it is a manifestation of this fantasy Tomino has of like latent, super like fundamental understanding between human beings. And what I like about the Vital Globe Net and like the organic energy stuff that's happening here is instead of placing it on a character and saying this character is psychic, they can access this thing, it is externalized onto this other like almost meteorological phenomenon, which I find helps those themes get across a lot more.
Yes, it's very visual with all the tornado trails, which are mapped out like the lines, and they're like they constantly mention being caught in them. Like it's very forefront that this is a theme that we are.
There's a bunch of moments later where like spoilers. Orphan also hates the United States.
What?
So
Real.
So it starts using the Vital Globe Net to give all of the United States soldiers these fucked up hallucinations. And that stuff all works for me in the sense that like I like this run at the same thing that new types are trying to do. I just think the show's trying to do way too much other stuff that I hate, and so it kind of gets buried.
Yeah.
But that's basically what I had to say about that.
Anyway, she dies.
This does factor into something that gets discussed because we start talking about human emotional output as something that can affect entities that are like sensitive to this. So like we're always seeing Hime like washing, or as the subtitles often say, massaging,
yeah,
her brain, like taking care of them physically, having touch, almost like having skinship. And there's like this power of love angle where when we accumulate like uncomplicated or like really nurturing positive energy, it's good for stuff, which is brought up as like a reason to fill Novus Noah with orphans. But it's so funny. They're like, the children are so happy and positive. Like it
It's
really
like-
it powers our organic engine more. And I'm
Yeah.
like, there's a power of love angle here, but it does kind of seem like the Novus Noah is putting on a human shield that is also a battery. Full of it's made of orphans.
It is that, and like they kind of try to support it by being like it's a little bit incidental because there is a moment where a bunch of the first wave of orphans is sort of happenstance. They happen to rescue a civilian ship from a tidal wave, but then after that, it's like more orphans. We need the orphan supply line.
It's a little on the nose that orphans are the
little?
fuel of the war machine. I don't know.
It's a
the
little
orphan
on the
crushing
nose.
machine is
Shikoshi,
a little
Shikoshi.
insane. Hey guys, we got rid of a lot of undesirables. We really lowered the population.
I mean, they say that at some point, and it's I mean, it actually kind of whips.
Gaybridge becomes a Char XP in a way that is like not welcome or appreciated.
Let's get into part two. Because that's I think where this stuff like really kicks into high gear. Episodes 19, 20, and 21. After use mech upgrade, we see a little bit about how the political landscape has changed around Orphan very suddenly, as unbeknownst to the NN crew, Gaybridge and Nalco fly over to Orphan as the United States declares the entire superstructure American territory. A tense standoff between Novus Noah and Orphan ends with Gaybridge doing an extremely fucked up thing with nuclear weapons, which NN and the BPs are able to pacify so that nobody gets hurt except for a bunch of American expansionists, which that's a big W. I love that part. And then Gaybridge becomes irrelevant, but we'll talk about that later.
There's a weird little interlude here where they like Yu is coming back from his beautiful dream vacation with his dead girlfriend and gets like stuck in China. Critical support for the Chinese peasants trying to kill Yu, and shout out specifically to the village leader engaging a mech from a jeep with an RPG.
She fucking rules. I wish we saw more of her.
4 seconds, and I was like, I will. This will feed me. We also in this situation, this is when Kant gets one of the mechs. They also call him a little genius boy freak, which was so funny to me.
What is it? It's Tensai Shonen, I believe. Which is that's good. I like
and the
that.
dub really just calls him a little genius boy freak, which I'm obsessed with. But yeah, this is when we get the reveal. Like, we were really hoping, and honestly, I think it would have been a better show. We were really hoping that Kant was the secret governor of Orphan.
We were all hoping.
But it was Gaybridge.
One of my favorite things about this, and by favorite I mean I'm like forever pissed off about it, is Naoko seems completely unaware that this was where this was going. Bitch,
Again,
did you
like-
not? I know Tomino has you doing Gaybridge's laundry. Did you not see the Nazi uniform that he has in there?
Oh, he gets that
No, that
dry
was-
cleaned.
That was in the suit bag, and it had not come out until this moment where he does. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. We have Char from Char's counterattack at home. And it's like,
And
I
he's
almost want to applaud the idea of like Gilf Char. Like, that's a powerful
Interesting.
phrase. But it is not what we get here. We get a conflict. We get a very funny scene that I was obsessed with briefly. Gaybridge arrives, big reveal. He's the secret governor. Baron Maximilian arrives. All respect to Baron Maximilian. Jonathan Glynn is
everyone
there.
accepts it.
Like, everyone is there.
All your
And
favorites
there's a
are there.
moment where they talk about their evil plan briefly, and then they just stand there and laugh.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, as we all know, stage 3 of synchronization with the antibodies is seeing brain ghosts. So they try to hand wave that away.
I'd like to direct you to my note over here in the outline for this section. In 72 point font, USA, USA, USA. So I said I hated the politics earlier. The one politic I like is Tomino lambasting Japan and America's relationship on screen for conservatively 5 episodes. It's beautiful.
If you think about the fact that this came out in 1998, I think this is a really commendably huge swing for a show to take, because what we see, and this literally gave me chills. We see Jonathan returning to Orphan with Baron Maximilian, and he comes into the entry bay.
Visual.
And they
What does it
have
say?
spray painted USA and hung fucking banners over. It literally went all the way there.
When Gaybridge
wasn't subtle.
arrives, there is like a United States naval brass band playing.
It's, this is, it's 2026 when we're saying this. Like, this stuff, this imagery is like quite literally triggering, and like for me in a good way. Like, I was like, oh wow, like this is really what's happening.
Listeners, we're gonna have pictures on the web zone, but I need to very clearly say that the welcome to the USA on the outside of Orphan is conservatively as tall as 20 skyscrapers. It's huge because Orphan is huge.
They painted that in a mech with mech spray
They have
paint.
flags everywhere, including like World War II style banners, which very specific imagery. But my favorite part is, and this is the world building of the single line, the US Army uses grand Chers. I have so many questions. What does the Swiss Army use? Who uses antibodies and uses grand
come
Chers?
on.
No, but it's an insane concept of, we're just accepting that these are things. Like, humans will use these things as weapons immediately.
But I agreed. I thought the line, because before we learned that Orphan is actually a state now, we learned that the United States has deployed troops, and one of the things
We also
Nanga
learned that
says
the
is
UN briefly classified it as a religious phenomena before they agreed that it was like a landmass that could be a state, which is so funny to me.
Stupid. Yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's Nanga. Somebody says they want to get their hands on everything with a history, which I thought was a fucking banger of a line.
Okay, all of the lines about history, like, America's a young country. America's a young country. It's so loud. It's literally like, hey, in the same way that we are like, children need to be taught, America needs to be taught.
Yeah.
Like, they do not know. They are a child and they need to be put in their place.
To me, it gestures to the very interesting phenomena that, like, China as a civilization, and then some East Asian countries by extension, was doing everything that the West thinks marks a sophisticated civilization conservatively like 2,000 years before the West was. And it's really funny because, like, I went to a museum in Belfast, Ireland, and they had an exhibit of Chinese, like, medieval, what we would think of as the medieval period of China pottery. And there was a bowl there that looked like it could be sold at IKEA today. The sophistication of the glaze, the sophistication of the maker's mark writing, which was glazed on, not stamped. there is such an advancement. And so I think there is such an interesting disconnect between the idea that there is a deep history over here that the West just doesn't seem to take as valid, except when it can lay claim to it.
Yep, exactly.
You know, it's so interesting, especially with America being one of the youngest nations to exist that wasn't like recently liberated from fucking colonial powers. Like, it is really amazing that they're like, okay, we've got to claim this thing immediately.
A thing I'm thinking about a lot lately is like a lot of well-meaning white people online have said about like the Bad Bunny halftime show. Like, I didn't really understand what was going on here, but I looked at it and I looked at it really adoringly because I'm envious and sad as someone who doesn't have a culture like this at home. And it's, you know, I get the impulse to say that for sure.
Yeah.
I also think like culture isn't something that you just like have and like it. So there's a lot of theoretical talk about how this works, right? In my opinion, culture is born through the ways different systems like impress upon you, like preconceptions. There are a lot of systems that like sort of exude culture. But what these people are referring to is simply stuff that people at home do together with their families.
Yes.
You can do that with your family at home. Do you know what I mean?
I saw a really good post about this recently that was like January and February are so cold and lifeless and whatever. And like every Asian person responding to the post was like, do you not celebrate Lunar New Year? You don't have to think of it as cultural appropriation. Go make friends with people who celebrate it. You will have lots to look forward to during this period that you think of as lifeless. And it was a response to the universalization of the idea that like everyone must feel this way because white Americans feel this way.
But also, you don't have to go out and make those friends. You can read up these things and do them at home. Like, you can read up on Diwali and do the Festival of Lights at home. It's fun. You can just do things at home. Like, culture is like, when I think of white Western culture, I think of board games. I played board games with my partner earlier this week, right? Like, that's culture for me.
I mean, you know,
we put on a record. It was very white.
That's something that has repeatedly gotten looked over in America constantly, and it's like one of the bad seeds for the current moment in a really horrifying and complicated way is the Rust Belt. Absolutely fucking packed with culture. But because we like parcel together all of these like Orientalist ideas and like I said about Bad Bunny, like racist ideas about how like these people have like magicked this up and we could never have this because of X, Y, or Z. And it's like you have already crippled yourself by entering into that thought process. And I think like the United States taking orphan in this way is so fascinating because you know, like the plastic chairs on the cover of Bad Bunny's album aren't weapons of mass destruction the way that Orphan is, but it's the same cultural like, oh, something has happened around this that is changing society. We must be the markers of how this changes the world, or we're going to be left out, or we're going to be, or 20 years from now when people talk about the culture around Orphan, we're going to be like, oh, I wish I had something like that.
Yeah, I think I saw a really productive discussion about this idea of whiteness not having culture and this idea of cultural hegemony around Sinners, obviously, Sinners 2025. And the productive part of the conversation was talking about the Irish vampire part of it. And this idea that, like, for Irish people to be considered so white in America as to not have a culture except St. Paddy's Day in Boston, there was a sacrifice sort of made, the sacrifice of assimilation. And it's like, if white people feel like there is a hollowness at the center of the culture, it's because that was the price of entry to a power dynamic that was created in America. And it is, racism is everywhere. In America, it has a specific valence because of the history of slavery, and because of the history of the creation of white and black as concepts unique to America, and white and colored and that kind of thing. And it is so funny to me because it's like there are plenty of people you will think of as white who have culture. Like if you go anywhere, you're going to meet Polish people who are doing their thing. You're going to meet Jewish people. I mean, there's valences to that, but like you're going to meet people who are doing what you think of as exclusive cultural signifiers. And it's like, that is accessible to you. You know, like there are so many different ways to look back to your roots or whatever for this kind of history you feel like you're missing. And it's like, there is such a discussion happening here with the US claiming orphan and how much they talk about the US as a young country that is about the US has no cultural identity.
Exactly.
We have our signifiers. We have flags and colors. Did you notice that they're even spray painted onto the shoulders of the Grand Chers? Like they have that.
They're spray painted onto all of the ones that are at the graveyard as well.
And all the Grand Chers are olive drab green, which is the exact green that the U.S. military was using at the time.
Yeah, there's so many interesting signifiers being deployed here to make this statement. I just, like, Alice, like you gestured at earlier, is like, I just feel like the plot of Brainpowered is not about this. And so I was kind of, you know, like, it's interesting, but it was kind of like a B or a C plot to me that I was kind of like, okay.
I just think, like, from a thought of how the Japanese, which, like, the Reclaimers in this are, I want to say a national organization, but they are become the Japanese government in the second half, basically.
The Reclaimers?
I don't know. They're so nothing. Like, what are they?
The Reclaimers were an American, like, Gaybridge is the governor of the Reclaimers. They're an American
They're an American
The Reclaimers
institution.
are everyone with the Grand Chers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do like, there's another deployment of almost like colonialism here, which is so funny, which is that like hegemons have trouble conceptualizing something they have claimed as actually taking effective action against them, which I really like because as we discussed, Orphan does start plaguing American Grand Cher pilots with brain ghosts.
Yes.
And
hey,
they initially
give them
try
PTSD.
they try to explain this away as like stage 3 of synchronization with the antibodies is seeing brain ghosts. They try to wave this off. And it isn't until the brain ghosts become so effective that they are making pilots kill themselves or attack each other that they finally acknowledge that like, oh, this is a rejection that is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I thought that stuff was all fascinating. Again, like I said, this stuff becomes so relevant. It's really tragic. But like at this point in the show, I am standing up and I'm clapping and I'm horrified at the United States imagery. I mean, hey guys.
Also, that's an F-18 Hornet cockpit, by the way. Everybody, just so you know, that's what they shoved in there. And guys, I loved it.
Hime has informed you of her plan to engage Orphan in the marketplace of ideas.
Yes.
Hey, we're finally going to let a woman take a crack at it, guys.
I just want to say, everyone's like saying, oh, Orphan actually looks kind of cool when it breaches the ocean. Oh, it looks like a mountain range. That's tits.
That's tits. I made that note too. I'm like, that's tits.
Yeah, I love that. It's just, okay. The Orphan, or the whole Orphan thing where at some point Orphan breaches and then has to flip. And I was like, oh, cool. When are they going to cut the umbilical cord? I just really love this.
That's actually, no, that makes sense. I didn't.
No.
The flip actually is such a poignant thing to bring up in that context. Actually, I didn't think about that.
That's wild. Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Okay, it's just, there's so much imagery about motherhood and I'm going to say it again.
The womb.
In fact, I think my friend Quincy is going to visit
the womb
later.
We got to go to
the womb.
Quincy sperm.
Yeah, we get another thing I like about the politics here is as soon as Gaybridge makes his official claim for the United States, the Reclaimers start to fracture because Baron Maximilian starts showing up. And like Nico said, everyone's just totally okay with this dude having an incredible amount of political power for no fucking reason.
It's so good.
To me, it's so funny because it gestures to almost like the emptiness of an inherited nobility. It's like, yeah, I don't know. These family trees are so fucked. You could just show up and say, I'm Baron so-and-so. And unless someone goes and gets the records, you could say anything you fucking want.
And you're not going to go and get the records. You know why?
No.
He has literally 48 abs and a cool mask.
48 abs, cool mask, cape, Jonathan Glenn. The things that he has access to. And the
just
voice.
Makes you purr.
We talked about it briefly, but also just to say it, there's a new type of mech, and I can't talk about it until we talk about the ratings because holy mother of fucking God.
But like, so this is when we have the nuclear missile plot, which is
hey guys,
fucking Gaybridge has seized
we're
control.
doing nukes again.
Yeah, we're
I like this.
You know, the American military is armed. And what they're going to do is stop Novus Noah from preventing Orphan's ascendance by nuking it. Now, it is full of orphans, as we have said before. And this is when they finally say in the text,
This is
like,
the most.
Mr. Muhammad's like, hey, did we put a big human shield on? Are we the baddies kind of energy?
Okay.
Yeah.
In 1998, the thought of America being like, you've taken thousands of orphans and are using them as a shield, give them up or we'll have to nuke you. And then we're just going to nuke them anyway.
It's so
insane.
funny.
In 2026. Yeah, I get it. I
Totally.
see it.
Well, this is also kind of a Palpatine thing, right? Because Gaybridge is saying this in the broadcast.
Yeah.
But Irene immediately understands he's going to fire anyway. Like, what we're going to have to, either way, we cannot evacuate the orphans. So we are going to have to do a human shield.
Well, and the thing is, they do make an effort to evacuate the orphans. He launches it anyway. And
We are
then what
moving
they
so many
do,
children.
they engage the organic shield, which functionally, hey, we all remember from Gunbuster when they go into like light speed time and there's different artifacts that get trapped in there and like nobody knows where they're going or whatever. They launch the organic shield, which means the nuke ends up on the vital globe net and just appears somewhere else. But there is a thing exerting a gravity on the vital globe net, and that is Orphan. And so fucking Gaybridge immediately gets back on the horn and is like, I can't believe Novus Noah has launched a nuke at us.
Because he did the math and he knew this
to be
was
clear,
gonna happen.
the logistics of this is he fires the first nuke and the vital globe net redirects it back at Orphan. So Orphan suffers a nuclear strike and a bunch of the military installations are destroyed. Gaybridge then says, okay, launch the rest of them.
It's so insane. He does this and like everybody does the big thing where like even they literally, again, like this is the first time we see the Echo. We will get the Echo again at the end. Hey, everybody, even the enemies have to come together because we know this is wrong and we must protect
What shapes should we make though?
We should make the Star of David.
Beautiful Star of David of protection.
This will deflect. Okay, what? Hey, those nukes just fell into the ocean, by the way. Actually,
That's
I think
fine.
they fell on China.
It's fine. It's fine. The leaching uranium, it won't matter.
I liked this because it's clear that Quincy and Jonathan show up to help to block the nukes. And it's clear, they make it clear that they're showing up there because they are still on Orphan's side and they don't believe the Reclaimers are anymore. So I think that's fun. I think the drawing, Hime saying humans don't need these, and then the drawing of all of the nukes deactivating at once in front of the brain powereds, incredibly cool drawing.
Perfect.
X-Men First Class copying the homework of brain power. No, I'm kidding.
When she's just like, later on, when she's just like, fight, fight, fight. What, have you thought about just talking for once in your life, you lonely fucks?
Yeah. This is such a, Tomino has this like fantasy he keeps going back to, which is like, I can make nukes not a thing anymore. You know, what's his name? I want to say Garothan. I know that's from Murderbot, but from CCA, where he basically does the same thing on his own, where he detonates all the nukes in space at once, so they can't hurt anybody.
Gyune. Gyune.
Yeah, Gyune. There's like this thing that keeps showing up where it's like, obviously this thing should never have been invented. I like that I like this image that he keeps going back to, which is like, I can say we don't need this anymore, and I can use my magic robot to deactivate all the nukes at once and make them useless.
God, I wish.
I also
kind of
wish that
weird
could happen.
to do that.
Yeah.
I wish we could all press a big button like in Price of Smiles.
You have to find your friend and press it at the same time. God, I love Price of Smiles. Okay, so I want to talk, we do have to talk about every single flashback because we have to touch on all of them, which is, okay, Quincy's sad flashback is she was not her father's child, and she was sad to see her little brother get born you, and the dad picks up the baby and says, this is my DNA! This was made with my DNA! And that's her trauma. And then
He's
Guy's trauma is he stole a birthday cake and 3 American cops shot him in the street while he was running.
This will make you a
when
JoJo
people say
character.
America doesn't have a culture. Getting shot by cops for stealing.
So the Naked Guys plot line is sort of like subsumed into everything else. He has a line later where he says, "I don't have parents," and then in that flashback, he says that cake was for his mom. So there's like a thing implying that that there was some extra trauma that we don't get to see. Unfortunately, I think what happened was they were like, we already did the parents starved to death. We already did the parents died in a fire. We already did the parents died in a bomb. So we're going to have to show the cake thing instead.
Right?
It's so insane. And then again, cannot emphasize enough that Jonathan Glenn's is I'm alone at Christmas, and Kant's is no one wanted to go to my birthday party.
Like reparative reading, everybody's struggles are valid. And that can mean that your two siblings die from starving in the refugee camp, or adults don't come to your kid party.
Sheila Glass is here. She's part
Sheila
of
Glass
this.
is now part of this. Hey, every character, here's the thing. Gonna put this out here. Only a couple more are gonna die at this point. Everybody else, we're gonna be holding hands by the end, and that's not a metaphor.
Yeah.
I wish
it's
Sheila
true.
Glass and Quincy Issa had gotten to Les out. That's all I'll say about that. I didn't mean to sound so emotional, but it's how I feel.
You were about to cry?
Do you guys want to do part 3? Do you have anything else
We
about
gotta
this?
get into part 3.
I do want to talk very quickly about this is when, again, we get the cheap-ass run at Chars' counterattack again, right? Because you mentioned this earlier, Brian. Gaybridge is talking about the nuclear strike that's already happened. Other people on the bridge are like, well, you've already taken care of a number of undesirables. Yep. It's the thing where it's like the eco-fascist line of thought, which is that overpopulation is real, which it's not. Resources are not evenly distributed. We're fine. The Earth is fine. Like, well, it would be if things were distributed better.
We can't make it work if we don't keep fucking it up.
We can't make it work, right? But no, like, we've just got to kill a bunch of people. And then Gaybridge literally, like, he's wearing the uniform. He's got his hair slicked back and everything. He does the speech to Naoko about, like, this is the future. Humanity needs a big push, blah, blah, blah. But it's so nothing in this context because, again, like, we had all of Gundam to kind of watch Char get to the ideological point where, like, the only option I can see is obliterating the ability for there to be Earthnoids and Spacenoids because there will only be Spacenoids. Like, we watched him get there. Gaybridge is so nothing that he literally has this moment. It is so uneven. Naoko is like going back and forth between like, do I support him? Do I condemn him? It's also stupid. And then he vanishes because this plot does not matter.
Yeah. Okay. 22 through 26. This is our last part. Quincy has an arc aboard the NN, eventually being forced to send her GC off to Orphan without her. Jonathan and Baron Maximilian join Orphan and then almost immediately start a huge schism, which ends with an armed deposition of Gaybridge and Naoko, who are then placed in the tube for misbehaving geriatrics aboard Orphan. Quincy reunites with her GC, who gets an upgrade into a Baron's for the measly price of reliving 3 generations of misogynistic trauma, and then the final fight happens. In the end, the Reclaimers are forced to relinquish control of Orphan as it departs the Earth peacefully, revealing that the idea that it was going to take all the life energy with it to be a manipulation. That's literally it.
Well, I like that as like an echo of the fear of the overpopulation. Like, that's not a real thing. It is something people use to justify horrific actions.
I like that facet of it. I don't like the facet of it. A facet of this has been a metaphor for climate change also all along. And so when it turns out that it being a lie, like I was just like, oh, okay, no, it's cool.
Fine. As we all know, the official stance of the OSG pod is that climate change isn't real. So
I should be fair. We are intercut with the Earth suffered massive damage throughout this whole ordeal. Like climate change was not fake. Things are very bad for a lot of people at the end of the show. So just to make that clear.
And in real life, I think we also have to know that this was before Al Gore's documentary, so not a lot of people were taking this seriously.
That's so
but
true.
I do think
we in the West did invent.
Yeah, we invented climate change. Wait, what? I think it's really important. I think it's a little heavy-handed to be scientists who are like, Orphan's gonna kill us all. Orphan's gonna kill us all. Guys, Orphan's gonna kill us all. As like when climate change was starting to be talked about and scientists were like, oh, we look at the numbers. It's irreversible what we're doing to the CO2 layer. Greenhouse gases, we're fucked. And we course corrected. People forget that we course corrected. But like in this show, it's like, Then America shows up, and America's the problem, which is, hey, maybe oil is good. Orphan as a metaphor for oil that we're digging up out of the earth. And then it becomes,
so
we can live in harmony with the oil monster that we've dug up. And it's like, hey, maybe we don't need nukes and oil, and we can just do, like, windmills again. Climate change
Maybe
is cool.
if we get enough loving children together, we can sort of fix this problem.
I don't know if we said it enough, but organic energy, confirmed canon by this show, is generated by children.
Yeah.
That's it. This is confirmed in this show.
We all remember where we were when Trump reopened oil drilling on Orphan, and like that was so controversial. I'm sorry I had to do it.
It was really hard for me to not think of Big Shell or Outer Haven the entire time.
There are times where Orphan is drawn and it is shaped almost like Arsenal gear in a way that is just like, wow.
No, it's so funny because it's like, we've seen the oeuvre now of a couple of different people with very specific concerns about the future, and it's so funny the extent to which we can kind of start to see the shape of Japan, like the fears of Japan in the 90s. Like it's so funny to see that.
Which is the vagina.
I need to say, there is something called a mask of loneliness. Orphan is somehow
Is there something called a mask of loneliness, or is that like a rhetorical device that Hime uses?
No, there has to be a real mask of loneliness, and that's actually what Baron Maximilian is wearing.
+1 to loneliness.
Right, obviously. Why did I not think of that? Oh my god!
You gotta unequip that, man. It's not doing good for you.
It's not doing good things for you, Queen. I wanna start this with the weird thing that happens in the beginning of this, which is that like Quincy Issa and Jonathan Glenn and Sheila Glass homied up with the crew to make the Star of David a protection that stopped nukes forever. That's a sentence that happens in Brain Power. Now, Jonathan Glenn and Sheila Glass went back to Orphan, like they are staying with Orphan, but you brought Quincy Issa back. And there's like almost an immediate kind of sea change that happens in her character to an extent where she seems to be less dire, less furious and upset and miserable. She seems to have more energy almost. And I initially read this as like, oh, you got out of the oppressive system and like you're not instantly fixed, but suddenly you realize you have more breathing room or something. The implication that I begin to see, Novus Noah is full of children. And the thing is, if you expose an awful woman to a sufficient number of children, it will fix her.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's so much.
I don't think the show is necessarily going for that, but you're absolutely right that is like logistically what happens to her. Because
I mean, that's what it feels like what they're doing with her character and the generational trauma of the Isama family women, which is, hey, you never want to bring a child into this world, but it's actually pretty great. Thank you.
Tomino and Sunrise Women in general, right? Like, I immediately think of Shara Soon, who in Double Zeta is this like campy, one-dimensional, like fun, just like psychopath character who like is all weirdly hypersexual and stuff.
She's a toilet.
She's a toilet.
In the dichotomy.
I've read that.
The second she is on the Argama for like a 2-episode arc, she is doing laundry and raising Kumanchinta.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that is, I guess, it's inescapable. The stuff I do like some of the stuff that Quincy and you have to talk about here, because it's like, it's not that Quincy has suddenly done a full 180. Quincy still believes the things that Quincy believes. She's just like Nico said, like it's almost like she's having a manic episode versus a depressive episode.
Yeah.
And like there's just like a bunch of stuff with that. Unfortunately, Fingers. This is so cool. I love Fingers.
Just to talk about Quincy, because I want to just kind of go over her entire plot right now because it infuriates me a lot.
Do you want to talk about the point where she goes, that guy looks like KD, about the guy in a big apron that has the letters KD on it? And what that sort of indicates about her.
What is KD doing here on the Novus Noah?
Wearing a big apron that says KD. Anyway, sorry, please proceed.
So I wrote down in this section is, holy shit, it's the becoming a trad wife can fix you lie. So I've been really into reading up on the trad wife discourse and the whole the reaction to the current state of the world being a yearning for a return to simplicity, and how a trad wife lifestyle and like the idea of the labor you put in currently is so out there in the world that you don't get to see the effects of it. And Quincy finds joy in simple work for simple things on the ship, and pulling herself away from thinking of things like, I don't know, how to run the Grand Chers Squadron or be a woman of any import, and how she finds a joy in that. But then you also have you who just immediately starts treating her like a mother type. Like, I hate to say it, but you and her relationship is mother-son, not sister-brother.
Right.
And that's just like, as we see the generational trauma, which like, we'll talk about the full ending of this, but like what she is going through is a generational trauma of like, and I hate that the answer that is put on screen is you can, one, become the coolest fucker with the best robot ever, but maybe working with the bad guys, but it's actually pretty good in the end, and then become a goddess. Or you can just like become a hoe and raise kids and be happy. I don't know. I don't know what Tomino is trying to say with the Quincy character, especially going from like when she's
tough.
like, I don't know who I am, and she's running through the cycles of names, and like we never got a good breakdown of why she chose the name Quincy during this period of her life.
This is a great moment for me to talk about my theory. Which
Nut
is not nut gig. It's not nut gig, and it's not nut gig level. But after listening to Nina and Tom talk about the kind of gender stuff that Tomino is kind of touching on and working through in relation to Gundam, one of the things that they brought up is that like during the different trends of like women's lib in Japan, a major pushback against it was this xenophobic idea that like women's lib is an imported idea, and it's about turning our women into westernized women. It's about Westerners getting our women. There's like a real xenophobic cultural panic around this. And I think it is indicative and interesting to think about the fact that Quincy's name was Iko Isami, a very Japanese name, and she goes with Quincy Issa, which is a very Western sounding name. Not any specific culture, but like there's that kind of vibe. And then like, obviously there's all the shit with the United States taking over Orphan, and like it seems to be expressing not just a weird gender reactionary thought, but also a cultural reactionary thought.
I mean, it's very much like, hey, Japan 101. The grandma's husband died in the war, and then married an American. It's happening. The parents from the 80s are distant. They're not there in their children's lives. And then in the modern discourse of our main characters, they're disconnected and lonely because of the world state. Like, it's very much like the 1984 of I am shoving this in your face with the themes of Japan.
Yeah, and it is wild, because it's like, yeah, Quincy Issa almost regains, like, her valuable woman status by becoming Isami Iko again, rejecting Jonathan Glenn, and merging with Orphan in this, like, sacrificing martyrdom way. And, like, I also feel like this is present, too, when, like, Naki is introduced. And a big thing that Naki does, other than bring a whole bunch of spare mechs and look like a JoJo character, is that he flirts with Hime. And that is consistently presented as threatening. He is consistently presented
and it's raced.
Yeah, it is raced in a very specific, loud way.
Are you Thai? Are you Chinese? These are real lines from the show.
It's crazy. It goes crazy like that because it's like we knew from the beginning that Hime was kind of meant for you, and they're both Japanese characters. So it really feels like loud and literal on the screen about this maybe like
that's a
xenophobic reactionary idea.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot.
I want to not expound. I want to
No, you better expound.
To go back to Alice's point about like this being the narrative of the Japanese nuclear family following World War II, like the way that the World War II affected the Japanese nuclear family. I just to clarify, like we're obviously coming to this from an outside perspective. You may have seen us on streams before. You don't know what we look like. None of us are Japanese, and we are not saying that Japan invented misogyny. This show might be saying that Japan invented misogyny.
They invented... Yeah. Here's the thing you don't know. The West thinks they invented misogyny. But conservatively, 2,000 years ago, Confucius was running around seeding the ideas that would become the Meiji era good woman, wise mother, or whatever the phrase is. So they kind of invented it better.
Anyway, let's get back to the worms in the garden. Guys, there's a couple worms in the garden. We should probably go check it out. The garden, again, 6 inches of soil on a hanger deck. By the way, sidebar, Nico, meet me over here. Sidebar, Brian, come with us. Nico, is that how composting works?
Bro, that is not how fucking composting works. First
Is
of
that
all,
how worm farms work? They were like, hey, this is our worm bucket thing.
What it seems, okay, here's what it seems like they did. Sunflower minute. Here's what it seems like they did. They went out to a field and they had a whole bunch of mechs scoop up in their hands some loose ass dirt. And they are doing very basic agricultural soil health in the sense of like, there are worms in it, presumably scooped up when the mechs scooped up all the earth. But like, again, this is not agriculturally feasible. This is not healthy or safe. It is, to get back to themes, it is a wild pastoralism injected directly into the narrative it is also reactionary. It's like, well, what if we just grew some crops? What if we took care of the children by growing some crops? We don't have to talk about supply lines. We don't have to talk about sponsors. We're just here with the dirt. And maybe that can fix Quincy Issa if she's hoeing really well. What they don't realize is her mech is in the hangar below doing weird finger shit.
There are some crazy drawings of Quincy Chers' fingers from this point forward that are sick as hell. That thing is wiggling.
It's looking for her. It's questing with its nails extended into weird.
She's
like,
probing. Pegleg is probing. Do you ever get probed by Pegleg?
Not recently.
Hello?
Yeah, this is a lot. And eventually we get the point where Quincy Issa defects and goes back to Orphan. She has her brothers say the themes disease, so she's going to say the themes a lot. And she heads back to Orphan. And is this the point at which she enters Orphan's womb? Again, Orphan, who I cannot emphasize enough, has been personified as a prepubescent girl, but whatever.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, I think Hime gets to the womb before. I think Quincy's womb moment is at the very end, and Hime has a womb moment before that. Just real quick to talk about some mech stuff. The Baronz Chers have these opposable, wiggly, shreddy digits that get approximately 7 times more frames than any other weapon in the show. And I just think they rock. I wish we had gotten more of them. We didn't really talk about Yu's upgrade either. His mech doesn't really look that different. It just has like an arm thing now, I feel like, is the main.
Yeah, it's so what we get introduced to is the mechanic by which you can get a mid-season mech upgrade, which is if you stand on a revival plate again with your own mech, you can achieve like the level 2 look. And Yu does that when his mech and Nelly Brain, which is what
Nelly
they call it the rest of the show, which is really funny.
Love Nelly Brain.
No matter what I do.
When they are on a plate together, it repairs, like what's left of his brain merges with Nelly Brain and like repairs itself. And then we see Quincy Issa get the upgrade, where they say the sentence, I wish she's evolved into evil or whatever. And all I wrote down was me when I evolve into evil.
It's like, it's so funny because like she flies off with Jonathan and Hime like turns to you and is like, is she evolving into evil? And he was like, there's no way to know.
It's so great. She tripped so bad she inhabited her grandmother's memories and she evolved into evil. And like that girl moments. This happens.
Honestly, 3 generations of misogyny being witnessed all in like a new type flash will turn you evil. I can't really fault her for that.
At some point, okay, where does Higgins come from? Because I have the note about tattoos conferring magical powers, and I don't know at what point this becomes relevant.
So
Episode
Higgins,
23, the tattoo memory.
episodes 23 and 24 are called Sweet Memories and Tricking Memories. There's a bunch of stuff that happens where it's like, there's actually a great scene where Quincy defects from Novus Nova by convincing Hime's brain to take her to,
that's
to
a really
Orphan.
good scene.
And she does that by imploring, Hime brain's curiosity as to like what's really going on here, which I thought was just a fantastic sequence. But I believe what happens is Higgins' mech follows them. Higgins disappears because she follows somebody to Orphan after they escape. I believe she's either following Quincy or she ended up following Quincy's grand share when it goes back to Orphan and almost calcifies. She ends up alone on Orphan and has a whole thing with her psychic tattoo. I honestly can't pretend to care. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know.
Hey, y'all, I'm going to Prague in April, and I was thinking about getting a tattoo, and I do have a whole bunch of botanical tattoos. Should I get a fucked up rose tattoo as a bit?
Yes, because then we'll know that a mech is meant for you because it'll get hot for some reason.
Stop.
That'll be a good indicator. All right, I'm penciling it in.
Yeah. That's it.
What happens at the end here? Because, like, my last two notes are...
Fucking beats me,
everybody
dude.
hold hands.
Yeah.
And then, bro, this is stopping Axis, but whack. Those are my last notes.
There's okay, well, to me, the stuff that happens with Orphan at the end is like less important characterologically and thematically. Like, yeah, it turns out there is a big naked lady in there. Orphan is a great drawing. If you want to see a cool drawing, you should look at Orphan. That's what I'll say about Orphan.
If you
Orphan
want to
looks
see a
really,
weirdly
really cool in the
Catholic
atmosphere.
drawing, you should see Orphan. There
It's
is a
like-
crucifix.
There's and there's like a bunch of weird crucifix and God imagery like in the second half here, but there's a crucifix. To me, what it looks most like is like a weird, like it looks like Orphan is clothes over the giant naked lady, which is just like a really cool image to me. But I honestly, as far as what goes on with that, I don't super know. The B plate thing,
The children are the B plates? Question mark.
The children are the B plates.
There are no children on Orphan. That's a detail we get told.
We know that brain powers and grand shares are units of two different orphans, but I don't know which type is native to this orphan. I'm still unclear on that. So like that part's wishy-washy too. And then, yeah, like there's a part where Quincy goes into the womb and becomes the giant naked lady for like a bit, but then you pulls her back out of it.
Just to be clear, we have to say it verbatim. We're inside Quincy's womb.
When you
Quincy's
think
womb.
about it,
We're inside Quincy's womb.
No, okay, I'm ready to do it because this ending meant a lot to me because it's at this point that I was broken. I was deep inside of it and I said to myself, why am I sitting here trying to make any sense of anything that I'm seeing on screen? Why do I care about any of this? And so I started saying, okay, you know how people sit down and get wild theories about Gundam? I don't think there are enough wild theories about brain-powered. I sat down and I thought about my wild brain-powered theories. Okay,
good.
So at the end of this, Hime has to give up you to Orphan so that Orphan will have a friend and won't be lonely in space. Wow, beautiful. Love that. But what I think ends up happening is that it also takes Quincy. And I think it takes Quincy and you for two reasons. Okay? I think it is extrapolating the memories from Quincy and you, and they are, because they keep talking about being in an illusion when they're in the vital net. I think they are caught in a constant cycle of reliving the cyclical family drama. I think that they are going through the cycle of being born, marrying each other, raising a kid, and then one of them dying, and then
you can say
going
it's
through
the
that
trauma
loop.
of heterosexuality.
Yes,
It's compet.
over
They're
and
caught
over.
in
I
the
think they're-
compet Mobius loop.
And I think Orphan is using their life and their connections to fuel itself, so that's where it's not lonely. And why it didn't take everybody's energy, it was like, these two are enough. They have enough trauma for all of humanity.
You know what? Sure.
Yeah, I'll agree to this.
Like, great. Sounds good.
So imagine Orphan in space with two people in it living a constant cycle of trauma for eternity.
And again, we've
my
done
thought.
well. We've done well not to mention Freud. But really, brother and sister as the male-female
I'm
duality.
pressing the trash compactor again. I'm pretty sure he's still in there. No, he got sent to the trash yard. You got him out, brought him back.
Moments after he's saying, am I Quincy? Am I Eco? Am I Naoko? You is his father in all of the flashbacks from that point forward.
They just draw them the same.
Fucked up. But
Listen,
honestly,
You know how in Annabelle, when the nurses get really scared of Annabelle after they've allowed the demonic spirit to enter the doll, and they throw it away, they get rid of it, and it keeps coming back? That's Freud. And it doesn't matter how many times we get rid of him. We'll find him outside our door with a little crayon note that said, "Miss me?" You know?
It's like Child's Play.
Yeah.
Freud is possessing Freud is possessing Amuro's toy doll from First Gundam, and it is haunting us throughout our whole.
Yes.
I think pretty subtle in this ending is the use of baby sounds over everything. I thought that was pretty subtle.
No, I hated it. You know what? Okay. I'm taking
I need
Orphan.
people to watch this show.
I do too. I need everyone to watch the show. I'm taking Orphan. I'm taking Quincy Issa. I'm taking I'm taking the Isami family. I'm taking the Reclaimers. I'm taking the United States. I'm putting it all into a small aluminum ball with like I've worked at it very long time. I've made it very smooth, this aluminum ball, and I'm throwing it in the trash. Because honestly, the only thing I really care about in the ending here is the fact that Anawa steals Jonathan's Baronz and goes to fight you literally for no reason other than, like Nico said in the last episode, straight up clinical hysteria.
It's so she's literally suffering from Greek historical female hysteria.
She is having a category, whatever the Greek alphabet number is for 5 woman event.
Yeah, she is.
And her Baronz gets really big and tries to eat her, and it's really cool. That's it.
It is really cool.
I like the Baronz. I like the little noodles.
Love the Baronz.
I think that's
noodles.
pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck we're doing with Baron. I don't know.
What do we think is going? So there's an interesting exchange here. Jonathan, who the fuck knows, is enraged to find out that his cool dad figure was secretly his mom all along, and that super sucks for him. That's the worst thing that could happen to Jonathan Glenn.
Oh no, I actually ended up liking my parent. This fucking sucks.
But then, by the way, I don't know if I said it explicitly enough, but Baron Maximilian is straight up a supervillain drag king, and I just
it's
love
really
that for
great.
him.
And we should never question the legitimacy of Baron Maximilian. I think it's evident.
But then they just kind of fly off together. Do we know what happens to them?
I don't want to. If I say what I think happens, you guys are going to yell at me again.
No, because I think it's pretty textual. Like, somehow they get, like, mother-son married, and it's gross. Everything sucks. Or maybe he
Everything
just,
sucks.
as an adult man, wears the little pudding boy outfit, and she reenacts Christmas for him every day. Like, I don't fucking know.
Wait, no, Nico, that's it. That's it. That's the answer we need. They are going off, and they are being Lucille and Buster Bluth off screen, just in the distance. They are doing that.
Unfortunately, yes.
That's perfect. That is what that is what those two characters need.
ESH, for real.
Anything else, guys? Are we? Do we do it?
How do we feel about Muhammad coming on to Irene? Do we want to touch on that at all? Do we have any thoughts on that joke?
I think it's mostly funny because she handles it really well.
Yeah, I think she's really good with Mr. Muhammad, and yeah, it's funny.
I do want to say I came around on Short Hair Bob Pilot and Submarine Captain as a couple.
Oh,
honestly, they're just living their best. Hey, I do think the other 2 ships in the 4 ships that make up our Novus Noah, I want to know what their captain stories are. Who are they sleeping with in the fleet?
Each other. Every Novus Noah captain is in a polycule.
Yeah, unfortunately for us.
Unfortunately. Because Tomino won't show that. He'll only show straight women dying.
If I was a giant glowing woman, would you stand on my eyeball?
Yeah.
Also?
Yeah,
okay,
of
thanks.
course.
Just want to make sure. Okay.
Well, honestly, knowing me, I would probably have the Evangelion thing where I like inexplicably come out of your eyeball for no reason and like a bunch of people die.
I'm
hey,
standing there. I'm standing there like Kawaru. Like, not that we have a gay thing going on, but I'm just sort of able to be embodied as myself wherever the psychic realm takes us. And I'm just
the
standing there.
5-minute scene of me thinking about killing you. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like Vocaloid in the background.
Congratulations and condolences to Nico's therapist because she's playing Fallout 76 again. Congratulations to my invisible therapist because last week I watched all 3.5 Evangelion Rebuild films in a depression fugue. That's how bad it's gone for me.
Rough,
my last
rough.
thing is, I think we need to apologize to her. The music in this slaps too hard for what I'm seeing on screen.
Okay. I
We
don't
didn't
know
talk about it because it got blown over, but there are some scenes where that music fucks.
we have a star. We have a star in the musical world. She is underappreciated.
Yep.
We need to pay her credence. Her name is Bagpipes, and she is owning the world in this show. Did we do it, guys? Did we power our brains?
I think we fucking powered our brains, and I think we need to take Alice Brain
I'm in a
and
grand
Brian
share.
Brain. Brian Brain, really difficult to say. Take Brian Brain and Nico Brain and rate
Brian
these goddamn brains.
Yeah, we need to rate these goddamn brains. Alice, what's your rating?
Okay, I'm gonna give the whole speech.
Okay,
Yes,
'cause I'm doing the thing.
I'm
you're
scared.
having your Char moment.
This is my Char moment. Okay. I think in the way that Nico comes to this and says, I had a realization about my feelings on things. Usually when I come to this podcast, I'm pretty happy about a little guy, a little duder. And there's a lot of those in Brain Powered. Like, the little guys are around and they're here, and he's my boy. I love my boy, just like Hime. But where I think this is going to be my metric, which is, if the mechs are interesting enough that I want to learn more about them, like in this one, in season 2, they have cooler screens on the inside and they're doing some wild shit with it in a cool way. But then they do other shit and I get so frustrated. And then they're just T-posing, and then they're just shooting lasers. And then they have a chakra triangle power that just is there, and the chakra belt. And we're just doing all of these things. And I get so frustrated. And I think my metric is that if the mechs are interesting and I want to know more, but everything about the show does not want me to enjoy the mechs in a show, I hate the mechs in it. I wanted Brain Powered, I wanted the Chers, I wanted the Barons. I got whatever the fuck you is screaming about at any given time. I got terrible themes from Tomino. I got some good themes from Tomino. But the actual Brain Powereds, the antibodies we see on screen, this is not a mech show. This is a 1 out of 10.
Damn. Well, it's been a
All
while
right.
since we had a real.
We had a real
Brian-
one.
Oh wait, no, it's
No,
gonna
I'll
be
go
me,
last.
huh?
You go next. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here's the thing about Brain Powered. The humans stick out of their cockpits like little human dicks. And
Yeah.
they do it a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of sort of laying in the crotch panel that happens. Like, that happens a lot. They commit the ultimate and egregious sin against me, and they do the sticking out of the crotch talking bit underwater at crush depth, which is insane.
They're not billionaires. It's probably fun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you only blow up like that at a certain tax bracket. But I am hopelessly charmed by mechs that are alien. I mean, this is what carried me through a book called Sleeping Giants by Sylvan Newell, which I do not like as a book series, but is very much like mechs are an alien artifact kind of vibe. I like when the mechs are alien. I like the idea that, like, humans didn't come up with this weird bipedal body plan robot. We are just using it now in a way that makes intuitive sense to us. I like that as a concept. I liked everything to do with the way that they had to condition grand shares. I do think fundamentally that the brain powereds were the antibodies from the other
I think you're probably right. Yeah.
the other thing, and like grand
Yeah.
shares would be like that, but you can condition them to be something else that is unique to Orphan on the planet Earth. I just think there's a lot of interesting speculation. There's some interesting stuff that happens around language and translation. We didn't talk about it, but there's a really interesting moment when one of the kids climbs in the cockpit of the brain powered because he's been scared by the creepy grand share fingernails.
Oh, and it's trying
And-
to warn him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's trying to warn him, but it presents it initially in Japanese with kanji, but he's too young to know it, and so it translates it to hiragana for him. And
Yeah.
like, that is such
thought
a
that was
cool
really
little
cool.
thing.
That was
It's like,
cute.
yeah, there's some really cool stuff happening here. Unfortunately, like Alice said, like, there really isn't compelling moments. Like, some of the animation in Chars Counterattack, and I know that's unfair because that had a lot of money behind it, but like, some of that shit redeemed mobile suits for me that I otherwise did not like because they were lovingly animated. It enhanced my inherent love of the Zaku because there were incredible scenes with Zakus. Like, this show, for all that it has some interesting design, it's got the alien thing going on. Like Brian said, everything to do with like the tendril shit that the Grand Chers start doing, or like the Baronz unit, like that's really cool. And part of the reason it's so cool is because it's like way more animated than anything else in the show. Like it gets way more love and attention.
They
like,
put their whole pussy into the last like 4 episodes here.
Yeah.
and just like I come down to like, this is, for me, this is a 5. Definitionally, this is a 5. I don't want the kit that makes it is not a 6. But I was intrigued enough by the concepts that I will be thinking about them. I just think, unfortunately, the execution was not good enough for me to care much more. So,
Sure.
Brian, how you feeling?
Yeah, I don't. I was thinking about kits too, and I don't want to care for these. I don't have the same.
Are available.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I wouldn't really want a kit of these because to me, one of the things I love about them so much is that they are organic in the show and that there's a lot about them anatomically that I don't think would make sense to come out of a sprue. And so like I don't really, even if it exists, I don't really want to see that. That's not the energy of it.
You get it in a little womb, and then you have to birth it, and it comes out, and then you pose
style?
it. Yeah.
Oh, bridge baby brain powered. That's a great
Brian's
name.
bridge baby brain powered.
The
Bridge baby brain powered.
BBBP.
The BBBP. No, so I mean, I scream shouted it last time. Like this stuff really gets me. I love a huge weird swing. Like Nico said, I love when the concepts are really like high up there, and in this they're hot. They're so high up there, and the writing and the theme work is so limited in its like curiosity and exploration, in my opinion, that it's almost like it's placed the concept on too high a shelf for itself to even reach. There are moments that really feel like that. However, like so one of the things I've been talking about like almost incessantly on the 1 year pod is the my mech looks like this because I have an ideology. And my mech is my vehicle for painting the universe with this ideology through violence. What really compels me about this, like to an extent to which like I think the show is a nightmare, and yet I could not wait to watch the back half of it because of stuff like this, where it's like, it's not that the mech looks like that because of your ideology, or the mech doesn't look like that because you have ideology. The mech is a vessel for your ideology because it is sapient, because it is a child, because one of the core questions at this show, at the like fundamental womb of this show, is when you're a parent. Actually, let me rephrase. One of the fundamental statements in the womb of this show is when you're a parent, you truly have no idea of and no control over what small things you do that your child is going to remember forever. You can do the best you can. In the end, you have shockingly little control over what your child learns from you. And that is truer the younger the child is. You know what I mean? Because they absorb and literally, when you're a child, like literally everything that happens to you and around you teaches you something completely new. You know, one of the things that's funny about like baby videos that people say is like, that is genuinely the funniest thing that baby has literally ever seen in its life. You know, stuff like that is true about everything a baby experiences. And I think one of the things this show does, I don't know if I would say it does it well. And I would say again, by the end, it sort of falls apart, is that it shows that through the way the mechs are developing. There's a great scene at the very beginning of the second part here where you like we said, the last part ended on a cliffhanger where Yu's mech is out having to fight without him. Hime goes and rescues it. And it is unclear at this point how the mech is feeling because it's acting very strange and it won't respond to anybody, right? And this is like the first real moment where it's like, oh, it's having a fear reaction. It was just traumatized. It's having a toddler meltdown, right? The mechs don't know how to regulate themselves. much like a toddler doesn't know how to regulate itself. And that stuff I will literally never forget for the rest of my life. This is a 10.
Damn. All right. You know what?
We
covered the gamut.
Imagining us being a consensus score as a podcast, I think I would have to fight you for the next hour because
All I have to say is if you have statements in your womb, you should get that checked out.
official OSG stance.
Yeah.
That's some cyberpunk shit to have a statement in your womb, honestly. Who put that there?
It's almost like the
Arasaki.
tattoos people will get above their pussy or whatever that says like lucky you or whatever, but you get one in your womb that's intended, I guess, for sperm. Like this is a message to sperm.
You can
do it, bud. Keep swimming.
The
this is not a
implications.
place of
Just keep
honor. No
swimming,
sacred deed
and
is
it's-
commemorated.
Abandon hope,
it's-
all ye who enter here.
Shut. That's my tramp stamp.
That's what mine says because I had my fucking tubes removed. You're fucked, buddy.
All right, we have got to take a quick break, and then we're
Yes.
going to come back. And I basically have the same game, but it's the second part of it.
Yay, part 2.
Hey guys, Alice here. Thanks for listening to On the Shoulders of Giants. We're really happy you're here, but if you know anybody who might be interested, we'd love if you share our work with them. If you are enjoying what we're doing, maybe send us a message, or what would really help us out is if you leave a review online. Really, a lot of the algorithms will push people down if they don't have reviews, so it really helps if you just go and write something on the internet. Heck, we might even read one on the podcast if it's really nice and makes our hearts go doki doki. So if you could do that, maybe do it, and thanks again for listening. Now, back to the show.
Spiritually, Snake's relationship with Otacon in Metal Gear Solid is Gyaru who is kind to otaku. I agree with that.
Snake being a Gyaru is interesting.
I see it.
I see it
I
too.
need Snake
Seen
to
how he
tan
dresses? He cares about how he looks. He's aura farming constantly.
The cigarettes.
Yeah.
Cigarettes.
I wrote 5 pages of fucking notes.
The Bachan who used to be a Gyaru is doing the thing where she wants to smoke her last cigarette, but nobody will let her because they want the precious next week.
That's good. That's good.
Oh my
that's
god.
good.
Mod that just replaces Solid Snake with just like a Japanese aunt with a perm. Hell yeah.
Oh my
Mod that
God.
replaces Solid Snake with my native speaker Japanese teacher, grades 9 through 12.
Welcome back from the break. It's a game. Last part of Brain Powered, we determined everyone's piloting type. The Novus Noah has stumbled across exactly 3 active plates, and now we have to determine which Brain Powered your pilot type will receive.
Wow.
So this is going to work kind of the same way, where I'm going to ask you both the same question, and I will record your responses and then tell you what result you got.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of doing it's not a agree to disagree spectrum. There's just like answers that you have to pick from.
Okay.
Question 1. We'll start with Nico. You can truthfully say, "I'd be a millionaire if only I could bottle and sell my brains." Optimism, persistence, kindness, or confidence.
So like my brain as a unit.
Your mech. Yeah, your brain.
Okay. What are the options again?
Optimism, persistence, kindness, or confidence.
Persistence.
This is going to be harder to record than the last one. So, okay, Alice, same question. You can truthfully say, "I'd be a millionaire if only I could bottle and sell my brains." Optimism, persistence, kindness, or confidence.
My kindness.
Okay.
Not to be full of myself. I think I'm pretty kind. At that,
And you're hoping to
think-
pass that on to your brain.
Yeah.
I just feel like I could sell it to otaku for like a pretty good penny, because that's what would make me the millionaire.
Alice's kind bathwater.
You know that new horrifying Razer desktop hologram bullshit that they released?
Yes.
We gotta sell the OSG version of it, and it's just, you can choose between one of us 3, and mine's the Moe Kyun VTuber, and then like Nico's is like train conductor, and Brian's is tweed professor, and I feel like it would work.
You get mine and you install it, and the first thing my little hologram says to you is like, huh, put a woman in a tube, huh? Interesting.
I wouldn't make that decision.
We only throw
And then
women
mine
into
loads in-
vortexes.
Mine loads in and it's just like, I'm like a Bethesda character because I just have a bunch of preloaded phrases that may or may not make sense contextually that you just hear a million times. Okay, Nico, your brain keeps you up until 2 a.m. the night before the Novus Noah Science Fair because though he's been talking for days about his great plans, he casually mentions over dinner that he hasn't actually started his project yet. He refuses to go to bed until you help him make sure that each planet in his model of the solar system is exact to scale. He spent so much time helping his best friend finish his project that he's starting his own late, or he's willing to sacrifice his sleep in order to be sure his complicated and innovative project is better than anyone else's and will win the blue ribbon.
It'll be the first answer because ADHD is heritable.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
When my mom did the family reporting form, she then went to get tested because she realized she was answering so many things about me that were also true about her.
Beautiful. Alice, why has your brain kept you up until 2 a.m.?
The second one, we have to get those exactly correct. Autism is, I don't think, inheritable, but it runs in the family.
It super is, and it actually has like the highest inherency rate out of any like psychological phenomenon.
Damn, sucks to be my kid. Just kidding. It's beautiful, et cetera, et cetera.
You're saying mine was a rare drop?
All right, Nico, when you take your brain to his first overnight camp, you are impressed because your brain charms his counselor and makes 5 new friends before he's unpacked his bags, completes all 5 levels of the Red Cross swimming safety course in just 1 week, is able to restore peace to his cabin after one camper unfairly accused another of swiping a CD, or organizes and MCs the final night's camper talent show.
Oh.
At which everyone's just ice skating because that's really the only talent.
The brains in this are much more go-getters than most kids I know.
What were the first
honest.
2 answers?
Charms his counselor and makes 5 new friends before he's unpacked his bags, or completes all 5 levels of the Red Cross swimming safety course in just 1 week.
I'm going to say the second one because my mom never learned to swim. So the first thing she did when I was literally 1 year old was take me to a swim teacher. And I will do the same thing with my mech in a human-sized pool. So...
In a human-sized...
No, it'll be in the ocean, but my brain will have arm floaties.
That's beautiful. That's some Braverin shit right there.
Oh yeah, that's so real.
All right, Alice. How has your brain impressed you at camp?
One, she's yapping. She's
Got
making friends, or he. Boy, sorry, I forgot. This is my brain. My boy.
Yeah.
Are you making friends at camp?
You only get the rare
Have
drop
you done the
of
canoeing, boy?
Of a she/her brain if you die for it. So that's sort of something to keep in mind. The only one who's referred to with she/her is Nelly.
My brain did spawn off the plate as he, him, but I believe in allowing your brains to transition to
oh, that's
Baronz.
Beautiful.
That's so
right.
true. All Barons are trans.
I can't explain this, but Barons are trans.
Barons are trans. I fully agree with this. Trans people have tendrils like that, so that makes perfect
That's
sense.
real.
Every night when a trans person sits down on their disc and injects their HRT.
All right, Nico, your brain comes home from school crying because a boy laughed by mimicking his enthusiastic cheering during the previous day's football game. That's a weird way to phrase that one, but anyway. Despite carefully following all of his teacher's detailed instructions, he received a C on his art project. He watched another child being mercilessly teased on the bus ride home and was unable to stop the bullies from picking on that classmate. Or he lost his class's election for a seat on the student council.
Oh, what's the second one again?
Despite carefully following all of her teacher's detailed instructions, she received a C on her art project.
It's that one because I took a poetry class and my vendetta against poetry began because I worked really hard on a villanelle and I was given an F. And I said, poetry's fake. So my child comes home with this art project and I say, art is fake.
Fucking gifted child syndrome, maximum overdrive.
Right?
Yeah, Alice, why has your brain come home from school crying and going, whoa, whoa, whoa?
boy, what's wrong? What happened in 5th grade today, boy? And he goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, you did get elected to the student council? It's D. I always think I would encourage a kid to do something that was, number one, easy. Let's be honest, the student council is nothing. Number two, achievable. Nobody really cares about that. You just have to talk to enough people. It's a popularity contest. And 3, net benefit to you. Everybody, that's just throw it on anything. That's great right out of high school, you know? But I think they wouldn't get it because they're my kid, and we all know.
No, I real quick, I just want to say, I am picturing this as the SD Gundam shit. So it's little brains, and they've got the little kindergarten hat and the Randoseru.
Yep.
Why didn't we get super deformed brains? Somebody please. Evan
okay, that would
Palmer.
be super
I
adorable.
have a super deformed brain, so but up.
Whoa, blah, blah, blah.
Anyway, I just wanted to clarify.
Anyway, Nico, Hime is telling you how much she enjoys having your brain in her class. It is most likely because he's creative, cheerful, and comes up with new ideas. He doesn't quit, but keeps working on a project until it's done right. He listens calmly and intently in class and does everything he can to please his teachers, or he catches on to material quickly and enjoys teaching other kids what he knows.
Last one. Sorry, that was me most of school. I was a pleasure having class because of that shit.
Can I get the other 3 again?
Yeah.
My brain broke
your
on
brain
that
is
one.
creative, cheerful, and comes up with great new ideas. He listens calmly and intently and does everything he can to please his teacher. And he doesn't quit, but keeps working on a project until it's done right.
That 3rd one, you know, that kid'll see it through. You know, not
His
in
brain.
probably a good way. Like, if you were to really check in, that's probably a bad thing for that kid to have, but it looks good at school.
God, we're all just working through trauma, huh? You know what? Maybe
Yeah,
Tomino was
apparently.
onto something.
Do you think anybody in this show is working through trauma? Again, I want to know what Tomino's relationship with his parents was.
There's no way to know. Prospera who? Nico. Your brain's excuse for not cleaning the hangar on Saturday morning is that he wanted to tell you all about his neighbor's new puppy first. Or he says there's nothing to clean. You walk in his room and find out he's right. Everything is already clean and neatly organized. He's unsure where to start, or he shouldn't have to clean his room until you start cleaning the rest of the house.
Oh, it is the last one. I say, you better get this hangar organized. And my brain looks at me and goes, so when are the dishes getting washed? We've been eating off paper plates for 3 months. And I'll just be like, you know what? You right.
Alice, why is is your brain's hangar cleaned?
Number 2, it's just clean. They weren't lying. And it is because they are hiding something.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
We've only got 2 questions left.
Does Alice's brain smoke huge? Like, I'm thinking of that Reddit post where the guy found the vape and is like, what is this? And they're like, it looks like a weed vape. And the guy posts again and is like, this is crazy. I've never been this high before. How can a kid have this? That's what Alice is going through with the brain.
The brain-powered vape is insane, though. It's chakra-powered. Hit that chakra vape. BP.
You know they're inhaling on that and then they exhale and it's the chakra effect.
Oh, and it comes out of all the grills and the gills and shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alice Brain, you gotta stop hitting that. There's like whole popcorn holes in your cockpit from the smoking.
I'm hotboxing the Novus Noah hanger with the twins. I'm doing it.
Oh, that blunt rotation is insane.
You know
Blunt
that's a chill
rotation,
hanger.
green blunt rotation, all of the brains.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of the pilots. Honestly, let's get them in here. This sounds great.
Not you. That guy would be insufferable high.
I would smoke with Naki guys because I think at a certain level of high, we would just start hitting JoJo poses. Anyway.
The stand user could be anyone.
Yeah.
I would smoke with naked guys. I would smoke with Hime, and I would smoke with Kanan. I would not smoke with anyone else on the Novus Noah. Oh, Irene. I would smoke with Irene.
I would smoke with Irene, and I would smoke with Komodo, and the whole time I would be like, that should have been yours. That should have been
That should have been yours. Nico, when you ask your brain whether he'd like to return to your family's favorite vacation spot where your grandma grows tomatoes, or take a sightseeing tour to New York City this summer, your brain says, New York City. Maybe he'll actually run into celebrities when your family walks down Broadway and crushes everything. In fact, maybe one of them will even invite him to a casting call. He'd prefer running the same resort, returning to the same resort where he knows the schedule and what to expect each day of the week. Your family's traditional spot. It holds warm memories for him. Or New York City, it'll be a new adventure, and he can already tell you the 4 sites your family must not miss.
New York City, the last one. Yeah.
Okay.
Excitement.
Mine's the tomato garden. The same special spot. Yeah. I think my kid would like that, mostly because
Is it because it holds more memories or because he knows what to expect?
Because it holds more memories.
Got it. Okay.
That memory, sneaking some pudding. My brain's sneaking pudding. It's going. And I'm like,
No,
brain,
I
we
think
can't
it's
steal
going-
more pudding. Ah! Mesothelioma.
The scene from the first season where you has to try to open the doorknob with his brain's fingers, but it's opening a snack pack. Nico, other people are always remarking on your brain's energy and enthusiasm, attention to detail, thoughtfulness, or leadership ability.
Energy and enthusiasm. My brain's stomping in place. My brain's doing little steppies.
Oh, the steppies.
Hey, remember the steppies?
That's
That's why it wasn't
I'll
a
never
one for
forget
me.
Alice?
Oh, mine is the leadership, and it's not altruistic. It's bossing people around, but it works.
Got it. All right, the results are being calculated.
Oh my god, the brain aptitude test. We're being
The
run
brain
through
aptitude
it.
test.
Yeah, Naked Guys is standing there with the 3 brains trying to decide which one we get like fucking Pokemon, and he's just done this test.
Nico, you have a split. Your brain has not a split personality, but it's 50-50. Your brain is a melancholy who just wants to get things right, and your child is choleric who requires adventure and being in charge.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm depressed, but I need to have fun. And I need to control how I have fun.
Alice, you are overwhelmingly the first one. Your brain is a melancholy who just wants to get things right.
I'm looking at brain. Brain is going whoa, and I'm like, it's fine. They have classes for you.
I'm looking at my brain and I'm like, kids can have Mountain Dew, right? Like, I don't want to start the Ritalin this early, but like caffeine helps.
But Brian, you're at your plate. What are you generating?
Yeah,
do you take
I took this
Pikachu?
at the same time, so we didn't have to fast forward again.
Okay.
My child is overwhelmingly phlegmatic and cares deeply about other people's thoughts and feelings.
Oh yeah.
Damn, our brains are gonna have a fire podcast.
Just imagine they're all going like whoa.
Mine keeps going whoa at his own jokes.
Oh
and
my
then,
god.
And then we see a brain who's listening and then just is nodding, going, whoa, 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 whoa.
Getting on the brain Discord and typing in whoa.
That was a difficult swallow, gang. That was a challenging swallow.
Hey, can I get some whoas in the Discord after this episode? Thanks, gang.
Can we get some buzz?
If you've listened to this episode, drop a whoa, 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 whoa in episode chat, please.
Don't explain it to anybody who hasn't heard it, though.
Nope.
Yeah, nope.
If anybody asks, just literally don't answer them, and then when they listen, they'll be like, "Oh."
Well, they can't understand
No,
what
they'll
you're
be like,
saying, and you can't.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Brain, are you sending us a message?
All right, I'm posting it in the Discord.
Brain, I can't read kanji. Can you? Okay, thank you, Brain.
This whole thing is on your cockpit.
Can you put it in
by the way.
Cyrillic instead?
Oh my god. Sorry, I saw the first words. So Brain has projected this onto the ceiling of my cockpit. Dear OSG, I was an unwanted baby, and my parents deeply wronged me. I have the choice between a UN apocalypse shelter engine and a big naked alien lady. The third option you're thinking of, where I go off and actualize elsewhere, doing one of the million other things that women are capable of doing, and being that this show isn't going to talk about at all, is off the table. I will be joining an organization, and I will be having a baby. Advice appreciated. Thanks. You need to have a baby with the big naked alien lady. Sorry, no brain. Like,
No, I
brain.
think-
The UN?
Hey,
Fuck off. No
we've got to
brain.
sit down and we've got to put down the pros and cons here. Pro of big naked lady. 1, big. 2, naked. No, the pros of the UN. I'm thinking.
The white JSDF spider tank from the beginning of Pat Labor 2.
Yeah, that's a big. Okay, yep.
Ooh, that's a really big one.
But
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real.
You
with
might have just shot yourself in the foot there. That's almost enough, though.
Hotel Rwanda was a pretty good movie. Can we give that one up to the UN?
Make it.
No, they're in it.
The UN has great technology. They have the white thing from Pat Labor 2. They have the Novus Nova, which, as we have said before, you can put a pyramid on top of a battleship that just exists, and it does look pretty fucking cool.
Imagine deferring to the UN. No, but I think here's the problem. Here's the problem is I just think the big woman, it's great for a little bit. Everybody says, I want a big woman. You know, that's going to be great. I'm going to have a baby with big woman.
Yeah.
That's all well and good. But, you know, eventually, big woman needs some big clothes, okay? We can't just be out here in space naked. How are you going to afford that? Oh, okay.
No, it is
then
cold.
I got nothing.
Brian, it's cold. Alice, continue.
Oh, you're right. Damn. Nico's out here championing the real things nobody's talking about, which is that space is big and that space is cold.
Okay, UN Apocalypse Engine pros. Free acupuncture. Healthcare on this ship, free.
So true, Bestie.
2, communist ideals. Even the Muslim sheik who brings a bunch of gold is an equal member of this ship. 3, child army. Everybody knows children make the best soldiers. I feel like there's better child rearing facilities on Novus Noah than there are on Orphan.
Yeah, like the dirt hanger.
Yeah, the dirt hanger. You can raise a baby there. Put the baby in the dirt.
Dirt hanger.
So here's the thing: big, beautiful alien, naked alien lady generates her own sunlight.
Okay,
I don't
That's
think
true.
we've
You
seen.
get a crazy base tan.
You get a crazy base tan, and I don't think Novus Noah. I don't think organic energy can give you the vitamin D. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
So I think
You have to grow that.
You have to grow that in the dirt deck, the dirt pond, the Mark Watney dirt tarp with potatoes.
Potatoes.
And I think so the other thing that we haven't talked about is the massive amount of variables, though, because we know that other big naked alien ladies exist out there. We also know they don't automatically like each other. Much
You
to think
could
about.
end up in the middle of a
Toxic
big
Yuri.
naked alien. Yeah, I was about to say a big naked alien lesbian situationship.
Guys,
This is
be honest.
This is a great argument for the UN because they won't ever get involved in a conflict.
Blah, blah,
Laugh
blah.
Oh, beautiful work.
Also, hey guys, this is Tomino. You know the other one is a giant glowing dude. It's not that deep.
Oh, yeah, that would suck.
That would suck. Big naked knacky guys.
Shout out to Nacky guys. You didn't matter, but I'm sorry about your mom and your birthday cake.
That is, for better or worse, this episode of On the Shoulders of Giants. I always forget this part of the script. Oh my God. The rest I just know. We discussed the second part of Brain Powered. Any parting thoughts on the second part of Brain Powered?
I legitimately think that no one should watch this, but if you really want, watch this with a friend or to talk to us about it, because, this is one of those things where you just have to turn to somebody. You have to say, hey, what the fuck did I just watch? And you'll have Brian who's like, fuck yeah, this shit owns. And you'll have me who's like, that was ass. So.
No, that's true. Brian did endorse everything that happened on screen in Brain Powered. My final thought, something that Tom and Nina brought up in Mobile Suit Breakdown, was that Tomino has allegedly said whenever he was tempted by another woman, like Alice, you keep saying we don't know his relationship with his parents. We do know his relationship with his family. He said whenever he was tempted by another woman, he would go into his room and just draw all of his desires. And once he had sort of expunged all of them by drawing them, he would then stay faithful to his wife. Also, by all accounts, he's a very open-minded and supportive father of 2 daughters. So here is my nut gig level theory. His entire oeuvre was him exercising the reactionary and misogynistic demons inside so he could go home and just be a chill dude. We
Damn.
can thank Gundam. Well, we could thank Yoshiyuki Tomino for Gundam because it saved his daughters.
The world got 2 well-adjusted, well-treated Japanese young women at the low cost of 700 episodes of whatever the fuck is going on.
The birth rate crisis is insane over there.
Yeah, you'd think we could have at least gotten 4 well-adjusted daughters, but okay.
For that much anime?
The anime to adjusted Japanese daughter ratio is so fucked right now.
My final thought is I just kind of like a hanging thing I'm thinking about as we go further into the 1 year pod, which to be clear, right now the 1 year pod is very much about Tomino. There is going to be a point where we depart from that, and I'm very interested in the reflection that we'll be doing at that point. But right now we're in the Tomino shit, and I think something I'm thinking about is Tomino, like any great artist with a long career, is going to have his eras. To me, Brain Powered feels part of what ends up becoming the impetus to go back and revisit Zeta Gundam in 2005. And the reason I say that is because something Alice was pointing out throughout both of these episodes is like nobody dies. And while the show can get very grim and very the vibes can be bad. I think that at especially with the ending, there is just a blanket optimism that I think is I am going to be thinking about as we get into stuff like Unicorn and I don't know if we ever do like Hathaway's Flash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The new Tomino is something I'm thinking about. I'm also watching G-Reco with GGP right now. And I still think that.
Yep.
So to remember that. Thanks for listening, pilots. Remember, you can reach out for advice from the team at our email, questions@osgpod.com, and non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to the same address. You can also catch up with us on social media and Discord and all of that great stuff. Just quick reminder, we're only on Blue Sky and Tumblr anymore. So social media with qualifiers coming out with us. Make sure to check back in 2 weeks. We will be unveiling for the first time in our long career our hitherto unreferenced pilot episode on 0080 War in the Pocket. Until then, goodbye. I love you.
Goodbye. I love you, Brain.
Goodbye, I love you.